in Konoha. At first, I annihilated the Sarutobi clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. The heroine finally has a role. Update. Please subscribe. Kanai stroked Mrs. Mikoto's jade back and said softly, "Do you need me to frame it for you?" "No, I've occupied you for a long time today. You should go find Kwan." I'm an experienced person. When a girl loses her virginity, it is often the most insecure time. Compared with me, Kwan needs you more now, Mrs. Mikoto said sympathetically. "You are really sympathetic." Kanai smiled. "Okay, don't delay any longer. I will clean up the table later. You should send the food to Kwan's room quickly, otherwise it will be bad if it gets cold." Mrs. Mikoto's cheeks flushed with Kanai's praise. She got up from his arms and urged, "I'll go now." Kanai followed his words and walked towards Kwan's room with the exquisite food that had been prepared, but before leaving the table, he inevitably wiped the oil, which attracted Mrs. Mikoto's reproachful eyes. "Grab the door of Kwan's room and turn it counterclockwise. It can't be opened. The door is locked from the inside." Miscalculated. Kanai dragged the dinner plate with one hand and patted his head. He took out a small iron wire from the system warehouse, inserted it and twisted it. With a bang, the door opened. Humph, it's just a door. In the Anbu period, unlocking a door was the most basic skill. Can it stump me, an expert in unlocking a door? "Izumi, it's time for dinner," Kanai called out with the food in hand, and then gently pushed open the door of the room. Kanai knew that, when he was talking to Mrs. Mikoto, Izumi was eavesdropping behind the door. If he opened the door at a normal speed, he would not only bump into Izumi, but also make her more embarrassed. Izumi was already worried about his one dragon and two phoenixes, and this was not the time to offend her. Kanai didn't open the door completely until Izumi lay on the bed and covered herself with a quilt. Kanai looked at Izumi, who was pretending to sleep, and said with a smile, "Izumi, it's time for dinner." Izumi, who was pretending to sleep, opened his eyes and saw a pair of sunny faces smiling. Kanai pretended not to know that she was pretending to sleep, helped her smooth the long hair covering her cheeks, and greeted her gently, "Awake?" "Yeah." Kwan nodded gently. "Try to keep yourself calm, but the flushed little face can't hide the calmness in your heart." At this moment, she suddenly felt like crying. The most precious first time in her life was dedicated to the man she loved the most. Although it was a little painful, it should be a happy thing. But the man in front of her dared to defect from Konoha for her, dared to kill the entire clan of the third Hokage, and killed the entire clan of the root leader. But he was so fickle. It was not enough to have me, and he fell in love with other women. And she was the wife of the former head of the Uchiha clan. Why did things turn out like this? Kwan sighed in her heart. This was not the first time she thought so. Although every time she tried to convince herself not to care. After all, Mrs. Mikoto was indeed a gentle and kind person, and it was already a done deal, and she also liked Kyuubi. But people are selfish. No woman is willing to share her man for no reason. But this time, she not only shared, but also shared thoroughly. Today is her 18th birthday. She learned from Zayanan that Kyuubi would be back today. At the same time, she also knew that Kyuubi was a complete playboy. This could be seen from the fact that he often took advantage of her since they confirmed their relationship. Kyuubi's birth directly confirmed the fact that Kyuubi was a playboy. But because she was still young, he was worried about hurting her, so he didn't make a move. Therefore, she took a bath today and put on a beautiful new dress, intending to dedicate the most perfect adult self to him on her 18th birthday. Who knew that this guy, out of common sense, carried her to Mrs. Mikoto's room at an incredible speed before she could react. She wanted to cry, but had no tears. "You should be hungry, right? Do you want me to feed you?" Kyuubi asked with a smile. With a full desire to survive, he was very rational and didn't mention the threesome again. "Yeah." Kwan nodded. In fact, she didn't feel hungry, she just wanted to experience this feeling. She knew that with this man's character, there would be more and more women in the future. Only when the two of them were alone, they could truly belong to each other. Kainai put the dinner plate on the bedside table, lifted the quilt that Kwan was not warm, and said softly, "Come, I will help you." Slowly, "It does hurt for the first time. If it hurts, tell me, I will take emergency measures." Kwan obediently lay in Kainai's warm arms, let Kainai help her up from the bed, and then put 2 pillows behind her back. Although she felt very shy about that kind of thing, she still asked weakly, "What emergency measures?" Kainai leaned close to Kwan's ear and whispered a few words. After listening to Kainai's words, although she had the urge to find a crack in the ground to crawl into, Kwan was not angry, but smiled happily. It's so good to be alone together, just like the night of the Nine-Tailed Rebellion. She can still rely on him. "Do you want to see it?" "Yes." Kainai nodded. Then he added seriously, "Which man doesn't want to look at the woman he likes every day?" This can be regarded as an alternative confession. I'm really a genius. Kainai thought to himself. Well, then I will let you eat well in the future. Since the extermination of the Uchiha clan, Kwandi has not been so relaxed for a long time. He also followed Kainai's words and continued, "But women are different from some philandering men. Women only want to show their beauty to the man they love the most." This sentence is also a confession from another angle. The two smiled at each other. Kainai picked up the special porridge to test the temperature and brought it to Kwandi's mouth. Kwan rolled his eyes at Kainai, revealing the demeanor of a little girl. Then he opened his rosy cherry mouth, tasted a mouthful, and his face immediately showed a surprised expression. "What kind of porridge is this? It's so delicious. I spent a lot of money to buy the recipe from a famous chef in the ninja world and came here to celebrate your birthday." Kainai made up a reason. Kwan rolled his eyes at her again, but he was not angry because he still remembered his birthday. "You are not going to send me away with a bowl of porridge, are you?" "Of course it's more than that." Kainai made a symbolic seal with his right hand, and there was a bang. Smoke exploded in the room, and countless gift boxes of all sizes appeared out of thin air, filling up half of the room. Looking at the dazzling array of gifts, all of which she had told Kainai that she liked, Kwan had a knowing smile on her face. It seemed that she really remembered her birthday well. Kainai took out another small gift box. "This gift is the most special one today." "What is this?" Kwan opened it subconsciously, revealing a shining diamond ring. The whole was made of pure gold, with fine workmanship, and was inlaid with large and small diamonds totaling 108. It was made by a master craftsman specially controlled by Kainai using illusion. PS. Update. Chapter 202, Orochimaru in pain. Kainai put the porridge back on the plate and asked with a smile, "A man gives a ring to a woman he likes. What do you think it means? Is this a proposal?" Kwan smiled, and tears flowed at the same time. This was tears of joy. "No, this is not a proposal, but a marriage." He took the ring from Kwan's hand and gently placed it on the ring finger of Kwan's left hand. "Shouldn't both parties exchange rings when getting married? Where's your ring?" Kwan wiped his tears. Kainai smiled when he heard this, took out his own pure gold ring, and asked Kwan to put it on him. Speaking of which, he was a few months younger than Kwan, and was about to turn 18. It seemed harmless to wear a pure gold ring in advance to look about 18 years old. That night, Kainai did not leave Kwan's room. Ah, damn old man Sandame. Damn old Fujiwara Chiya. In a dark underground laboratory, candlelight flickered. With his hands wrapped in bandages, Orochimaru, supported by Kabuto Yakushi, slowly sat down on a stone chair, groaning in pain, and hurling vicious curses. If it weren't for the Sandame, he wouldn't have lost both hands and all the ninjutsu that required seals, let alone endure this endless burning pain all the time. The most hateful one was Fujiwara Chiya, who seemed to have long anticipated that Sarutobi Hiruzen would use the Shikigami Fujin in desperation, but he just didn't say it, and even pretended to be hit, watching the Sandame seal his hands. Kabuto stood in front of Orochimaru and pushed his glasses slightly, with a flattering smile on his face. He comforted him. "It's not that easy. After all, the opponent is the strongest Hokage among the 5 major countries. But you did a great job. Although the Kazekage was killed by Fujiwara Chiya and Hagura, it was done under your guidance. It can be said that you killed 2 of the 5 Kage at the same time." "Please don't." Orochimaru heard the comfort in Kabuto's words, and his pale face became even colder. He raised his head and looked at Kabuto with murderous eyes. Please don't say anything. That sounds like comforting me, or I will kill you. Kabuto paused, did not dare to refute, half lowered his head, his eyes were covered by the reflection of the lenses, silent for a while, and said respectfully, of course I didn't mean that. Although we didn't capture the village this time, another purpose of this plan, Uchiha Sasuke, has been collared by you. Uchiha Sasuke inherited the excellent bloodline of the Uchiha clan. He has the potential to open the main Mangekyou Sharingan. As long as you obtain his body and open the main Mangekyou Sharingan, you can see through Fujiwara Chiya's illusion. In time, it will be Fujiwara Chiya's turn to be suppressed by you. After hearing what Kabuto said, Orochimaru felt a little comforted. In the huge underground laboratory, Orochimaru's eerie and terrifying laughter suddenly echoed. Of course, this is exchanged for my hands and all my ninjutsu. By the way, if I could get Uchiha Itachi, it would be no problem, but this is impossible. That guy's like Fujiwara Chiya, stronger than me. That's why I left the Akatsuki organization. After saying that, Orochimaru's soulless hands were burning again, and his body spasmed and cold sweat flowed. Looking at Orochimaru's painful appearance, Kabuto's mind appeared the picture of Chiya and Uchiha Itachi wearing red clouds and black robes. Thinking of their terrifying strength, besides being frightened, he couldn't help but feel a little envious, and sighed. Fujiwara Chiya and Uchiha Itachi, these are really two ridiculously strong guys. One is impeccable in ninjutsu, illusion, taijutsu and other aspects, with almost no weaknesses. The other possesses a powerful bloodline limit Sharingan. In the Akatsuki organization, apart from the mysterious leader who possesses the Rinnegan, I'm afraid these two are the strongest. Konoha is really a place where geniuses are produced. Orochimaru frowned slightly, but did not refute. These are all irrelevant. Then what are you going to do next? Kabuto asked Orochimaru cautiously, as if he was afraid that he would accidentally anger the other party and bring disaster to himself. The intense burning sensation in his arms came again, and it was even stronger than the last time. Orochimaru could not hold it back, and he fell to his knees on the ground, wailing in pain. Ah, damn old Sarutobi. Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto hurried forward to help him, but was thrown away by Orochimaru. Go and find Sasuke for me. But isn't it too early? The curse seal buried in his body is not mature enough, and he is not crazy enough to be so eager for power. I'm afraid he won't be willing to come. Kabuto said hesitantly. I can't care about so much anymore. Go and arrange it quickly. Orochimaru said sternly. So far, Orochimaru has been reincarnated 3 times. The first time was not introduced in the original work, and the second time was the female ninja body that Orochimaru could fully exert his strength, and was highly compatible with his soul in the original Konoha collapse plan against the 3rd generation. The 3rd time, because of Nakachiya's Rasengan Shuriken, Orochimaru had to give up the original female ninja body, and was forced to reincarnate, transferring his soul to a temporary body. Now, because of Sarutobi Hiruzen's Shiki seal, his hands were sealed, and his body, which was not very compatible, had a huge rejection reaction. He was worried that, if he continued like this, his body would collapse before Sasuke took the initiative to surrender to him. As for looking for Tsunade to heal his arm like in the original work, Orochimaru did not consider it, because Tsunade has become the 5th generation Hokage and her hemophobia has been cured. If he went there actually with this broken body, he would probably be killed. On a dark and windy night, on the tree-lined path of Konoha, a cold-faced, frowning, evil and handsome boy walked towards the exit of Konoha with a backpack on his back. The breeze blew, the dark clouds dispersed, and the white moonlight poured down, falling on the boy, pulling out a long and narrow shadow, which added a bit of loneliness. This boy is Sasuke. Although his talent is not as good as Itachi, and he can't compare with the cheating Chiya, but the second pillar is a genius after all. Soon he learned the art of summoning. Perhaps it was fate that had its own plan. With the help of the Heaven's Curse Seal, Najera summoned the Green Snake in the original novel and successfully signed a summoning contract. But after that, Najera fell into anxiety again. because Najira found that, even if he could close the gap between the summon beasts with the green snake and Naruto, he still had no chance of winning against the Rasengan cast by Naruto's thousands of shadow clones. PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203, Nezuzi wants to defect, Sakura can't, not to mention facing Uchiha Itachi. So the idea of surrendering to Orochimaru came into his mind, and Orochimaru happened to send the 4 Oto ninjas. Originally, the 4 Oto ninjas planned to beat up the 2 pillars like in the original work, show their ability of Curse Seal, and attract him to find Orochimaru to gain power like them. Who would have thought that before they could take action, the 2 pillars agreed directly. This made the 4 Oto ninjas feel like a punch on cotton. At this moment, the night was deep and people were asleep. The huge Konoha village was silent, and only the tree-lined path echoed the footsteps of the 2 pillars. Although the time agreed with the 4 Oto ninjas to meet outside the Konoha village had passed, but the 2 pillars still had no intention of speeding up. People are not plants, who can be ruthless. Now the 2 pillars are about to leave Konoha, and it is very likely that they will never come back in the future. So I unconsciously slowed down my pace. But the road has an end. However, before leaving the village, a sudden incident stopped Nobushiko, who was heading towards the exit of Konoha. At the corner of the road not far from Nobushiko, a girl with pink hair and a white forehead walked out and blocked his way. It was Hiruno Sakura. It seems that your hair has grown out and your teeth have been fixed. What are you doing here so late? Nobushiko put his hands in his pockets and looked at Sakura expressionlessly. Sakura glanced at Nobushiko's backpack and lowered her head with a lonely look, because there is only this way out of the village. She knew that Nobushiko was also going to leave Konoha, and it was no surprise that he was going to find Orochimaru. Go back to sleep. Nobushiko didn't look at Sakura again and walked past her. Why? Sakura shed silent tears and turned to look at Naruto. Why don't you tell me anything? Why do you always keep silent to me? Why should I tell you everything? Naruto stopped and recalled Kainai's words. If you have any problems, ask for help. If you have nothing to do, give it to me. He suddenly felt a strong sense of humiliation. It was as if, in this woman's heart, he was not as strong as Naruto. All he had was that pitiful, annoying, and self-indulgent love brain that he didn't need at all. Thinking of this, Najiru's face became even colder. Don't be so self-indulgent here, and don't meddle in my business. This is a cruel ninja world. If you have time, you might as well learn some magic instead of being a drag on your team. Not only in Team 7, but among the students in our class, who will graduate and take the Chunin exam, you are the weakest. Or you can give up your ninja identity and be an ordinary person again. But Sasuke, I love you. Sakura lowered her head, tears streaming down her face, wanting to say the words of confession like in the original story, and to keep Najiru, but was interrupted by the impatient Najiru. Shut up. Najiru was very impatient. How you are is your business. I have no reason to like you, and no reason to be liked by you. Also, I don't like to see you sticking to me when you are fine and going to find Naruto when you are in trouble or in danger. I feel sick when I see your face. After that, Najiru was about to move on, but Sakura was like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. Facing the cold words of the second pillar, she listened to it with one ear and let it out with the other. Since her true feelings could not keep her, she could only threaten. Don't leave. If you leave, I will shout loudly. As soon as the voice fell, the second pillar suddenly disappeared in front of Sakura. When he appeared again, he was already behind Sakura. You are really annoying. With a knife, the second pillar hit Sakura on the back of the neck. The latter fell down slowly with tears. When the second pillar arrived at the meeting place with the Sound 4 people, they were already hanging upside down under the tree. What is going on? Looking at the Sound 4 people swinging under the tree like a swing, the second pillar asked coldly. The Sound 4 people were unable to speak. Their mouths were sealed with cloth strips. The second pillar looked around and saw that there was no one. He frowned slightly and threw a kunai to cut the rope. The 4 people were freed. Tell me, what's going on? Who hung you here? Nibiru asked impatiently. The 4 Otonin didn't answer, but looked behind Nibiru in fear, sweating profusely. A white and slender hand patted Nibiru's shoulder silently like a ghost. Nibiru was startled and turned around suddenly, but there was no one. Another hand patted on his back, and Nibiru turned around again, but there was still no one. This cycle repeated over and over again, and finally even with the Sharingan opened, Nibiru still couldn't even touch the shadow of the person. Come out, Fujiwara Chiya, don't hide, I know you are here. Nibiru recalled the scene when he first met Chiya on the day after the Chunin exam ended, and shouted breathlessly, "Oh my son, how did you guess it was me?" A teasing voice suddenly sounded. Nibiru turned around suddenly, and I didn't know when Chiya was standing under the tree, squinting his eyes, folding his arms, and leaning against the tree trunk. Except you, no one would be so bored, and you are the only one who can make Orochimaru's dogs so scared. Didn't you leave Konoha? Why did you suddenly appear here? Seeing that it was really Chiya, Nejiru breathed a sigh of relief, and his face suddenly became solemn. In the dark, he felt that Chiya was becoming more and more unfathomable. Was it an illusion? Nothing, I just changed my mind suddenly. Don't you want me to guide you in your practice? I can promise you. Chiya glanced at the 4 sound ninjas and said lightly. The 4 sound ninjas on the side received the order to bring Sasuke back as soon as possible. Hearing what Chiya said, they were all shocked and wanted to speak, but Chiya's look frightened them so much that they blocked their throats. Really? Nejiru's eyes lit up. If there was a guy like Fujiwara Chiya to guide the practice, plus his own Sharingan, then killing Uchiha Itachi in the future would no longer be a dream. As for Orochimaru, a guy who was played around by Fujiwara Chiya, what does he care about? Don't be happy too soon. I will only teach you for a month, and I will no longer care about you after a month. Of course, you can also go with these ugly guys. The choice is yours. In fact, Chiya had no intention of guiding Ursuzi at all. Although he accepted Mikoto as his wife, he had not fallen to the level of being Dorgan. He just wanted to save Ursuzi's life. PS. Second update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 204 Ursuzi calls Kunai dad again. Because he had just mastered the flying thunder god, Kunai used the purple cloud wings to fly back to Konoha overnight, thinking of leaving a mark so that he could visit his wife and children in the future. Who would have thought that his observation haki sensed that several lackeys of Orochimaru were sneaking around in his wife's territory, and he instantly guessed that Orochimaru was probably unable to bear the Shikifujin. He wanted to kidnap the second pillar in advance and take over his body. Without Naruto's obstruction, and affecting a month earlier than the original, Orochimaru was likely to be able to hold on until the second pillar arrived. With the second pillar's current mental strength, he is absolutely no match for Orochimaru's reincarnation. In order to save the life of this stepson, and not let the future be too boring, Kunai simply sent a shadow clone to let the second pillar defect a month later, not giving Orochimaru the opportunity to take over his body. Now he is just a shadow clone, and his original body is being exploited by Tsunade. Okay. No one hesitated. Nejiru agreed directly, and then said to the 4 sound ninjas, "You guys, come back here to find me in a month." But Lord Sasuke, Lord Orochimaru. Hearing this, Sakon, who claimed to be the strongest of the 4 sound ninjas, wanted to say something, but before he finished speaking, a cold light flashed across his body. With a puff, the head that was close to his back rolled down. This was the head of his brother Yukon, who was sleeping in Sakon's body. Our brother Sakon's pupils suddenly dilated, and he cried out, but the other 3 of the 4 sound ninjas covered his mouth and controlled his limbs in the first place. I should have said it before, the choice is Nejiru's. If you dare to interfere with Nejiru's choice, then I can no longer forgive you. Kunai discussed with the 4 sound ninjas with a smile, and a cold light flashed on his palm. It was obvious that he had just used a hand knife. Teiwaya and the other 2 had their throats rolling and swallowed hard. One of them lifted Yukon's head, and the other 2 carried Sakon, who had almost lost his mind because of his brother's death, and left happily. Nizuzi ignored them, but walked up to Chiya impatiently and asked excitedly, Fujiwara Chiya, when do we start? What did you call me? Chiya narrowed his eyes slightly, and a bad smile appeared on his face that made Nizuzi disgusted. You hearing this? Nizuzi didn't know what Chiya was thinking, and his mouth twitched fiercely. While cursing Chiya in his heart, he stammered and changed his words. His voice was as soft as a mosquito. Dado, I didn't hear it clearly. Chiya said loudly. Nizuzi raised his voice a little. I still didn't hear it. Chiya was playing rogue. Nizuzi shouted. Call me 3 more times. Chiya was getting more and more aggressive. Hey, don't go too far. Nizuzi was embarrassed and angry. Then you can go after those Otanin. I was thinking of teaching you a ninjutsu that can defeat Orochimaru. Kanai said, turning around and leaving. A ninjutsu that can defeat Orochimaru? Nizuzi was suddenly startled and immediately ecstatic. He suppressed the shame and anger in his heart and shouted loudly 3 times for strength. Good boy, my son. Kanai stroked Nizuzi's hedgehog head like a dog. Okay, teach me that ninjutsu. Nizuzi struggled to break free from Kanai's palm. I've taught you. Kanai shrugged slightly. What did you teach me? Nizuzi was stunned, first touched his head, and then moved his hands and feet. Could it be a jutsu similar to Orochimaru's curse seal? But there was no change in his body, and he didn't feel that he had become stronger. Kanai explained, it's a ninjutsu. You have to endure for a month. After a month, you go to Orochimaru to practice. After 3 years, you will naturally be able to defeat him. Asshole, are you kidding me? Nejiru was furious. He quickly formed seals with his hands and was about to perform a summoning technique to summon the green snake. However, before he could finish the seals, a big tree suddenly sprang out from the ground and bound his limbs. It was an illusion. Magic tree binding kill. I'm not kidding you. I'm saving you. The reason why Orochimaru gave you the power must have been that Jiraiya, Kakashi and the others had more or less told you something. Orochimaru covets your body and wants to take it for himself. Orochimaru has developed a ninjutsu called living corpse reincarnation, which can take over the body of another person for his own use. But each reincarnation must be 3 years apart. The mental power of the container must be weaker than that of the caster, otherwise the caster's soul is in danger of being backfired. Because the souls of his hands were sealed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Orochimaru's body is now suffering from burning pain that ordinary people cannot endure every day. The body is gradually collapsing. If you go there now, your body will be taken over on the spot. With your current insignificant mental power, even with the Sharingan, you will definitely not be able to resist living corpse reincarnation. By then, let alone becoming stronger, I'm afraid you won't be able to save your life. But it will be different after a month. Orochimaru's body will not be able to support a month. By then, he will have to reincarnate in advance, and you will have 3 years to become stronger beside him. 3 years later, you will be 16 years old. If you can't even beat Orochimaru who has lost his hands, then you might as well die. Nibashi suddenly realized. I said, how could that guy Orochimaru be so kind? Do you still think I'm kidding you now? Kanai said, symbolically making a seal with his right hand and dissolving the illusion. Nibashi shook his head and then heard Kanai say, okay, if you're fine, go back to Konoha as soon as possible. Don't let the villagers find out. I think you know the consequences of becoming a rebel ninja. Now you are no match for those senior ninjas in Konoha. After speaking, Kanai released the shadow clone, and with a bang, the whole person turned into smoke and disappeared in Nibashi's eyes. After the shadow clone disappeared, Nibashi suddenly realized that it was not right. This guy was still kidding him, tricking him into calling him dad more than 10 times. Haha. The memory of the shadow clone was transmitted into his mind, and Kanai, who had just finished a fight with Tsunade, burst into laughter. What's wrong? Tsunade, who was lying in Kanai's arms, raised her flushed face, feeling quite unsatisfied, and asked curiously. Nothing, I just remembered something that makes me happy. Kanai made up a reason, released his observation haki, and listened to the 2 pillars being frustrated, and an unstoppable smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Tell the truth, what are you holding back? Tsunade's eyes flashed with suspicion. It's really nothing. Kainai didn't want the Konoha's little strong men to lose the 4 sound ninjas, who were their leveling targets. Tsunade was waiting for Kainai to say this, and seeing that he didn't say it, she simply activated the 100 healings technique. That night, Kainai consumed another Senzu Bean. PS. The third update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 205 Annoying Sakura. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly. The Konoha gatekeepers, Izumo Kamatsuki and Tetsukoko, each holding 2 large stacks of documents, went to the Konoha Hokage building to report on their work. Just like in the original novel, on the way out of the village, they met Sakura Hiruno, who was knocked unconscious by the second pillar last night. Tetsukoko called Sakura, "Hey, wake up, you'll catch a cold if you sleep here." Sakura's eyelids trembled slightly, and she suddenly woke up. She recalled the second pillar yesterday in her mind, called out his name, and burst into tears. Sasuke. The gatekeepers were all stunned. Soon, they reported the matter of Sakura and the second pillar to Shizune, who was on duty for Tsunade at the Hokage building, and then Shizune reported it to Tsunade immediately. Tsunade summoned Shikamaru, and ordered him to gather a team of genin to pursue. After dealing with all this, Tsunade returned home exhausted because of the hard work of the previous night. Oh, it's really troublesome. What happened? Kainai sat at the dining table and took the breakfast milk handed over by Zyangyu, asking knowingly, what else could it be? The orphan of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Itachi's younger brother, Uchiha Sasuke, who is in the same organization as you, was abducted and defected by Orochimaru. Just ordered to set up a pursuit team. There are really a lot of troubles. Tsunade yawned and also took the breakfast milk handed over by Zyangyu. As for the second pillar, he is still in the village. Kyangsha, who was sitting in Kainai's arms, said while eating breakfast. What? Tsunade was startled, stood up suddenly, and looked at her daughter with disbelief. Kyangsha is right. The second pillar is indeed still in Konoha, and is now sleeping soundly at home. The possibility of a shadow clone can be completely ruled out. Kainai picked up the milk and took a sip. What on earth is Sakura doing? Tsunade sighed, not bothering to ask how Chinatsu knew. She turned her head and quickly said to Shizune, "Shizune, go to the village in trance and chase Shikamaru and the others. It should be in time now. Cancel the mission for now. Also, let Izumo and Kotetsu check Uchiha Sasuke's home and ask them to gather at the Hokage's office in half an hour." "I know." Shizune responded respectfully, jumped out of the window, and quickly rushed to the entrance of Konoha village. As soon as Shizune left, Tsunade resumed her lazy demeanor, bit a piece of bread, and asked Chinatsu, "Chinatsu, how did you know Sasuke was in the village? Did your father tell you?" Hearing this, Chinatsu did not answer, but looked up at Kainai with an inquiring look. "Didn't you tell your mother?" Kainai said with some surprise. "Kainai said this is a secret between us." Chinatsu shook her head. "You are really obedient, but it's okay to tell your mother." Kainai stroked his daughter's head gently and said to Tsunade, "Chinatown has 2 kinds of perception. One is the special sage mode that I taught, which can sense chakra by communicating with natural energy. The other is the special perception inherited from myself, which can make people's 5 senses sharper and can detect the breath and emotional changes of surrounding creatures, and can also be used to predict and avoid danger. With this ability, even if you close your eyes, you can easily see through all the attacks of the enemy." Hearing this, Tsunade took a breath of cold air and couldn't help but sighed. "No wonder Kakashi and the others were defeated so badly in your hands. This kind of perception is too abnormal. It's like predicting the future." At this point, Tsunade seemed to think of something again, put down the knife and fork in her hand, and looked at her daughter with a smile. "But speaking of this, Chinatown," in the voice of all things listening, told Chinatown that her mother was very angry at the moment, and the consequences would be serious. "Aren't you going to explain to your mother?" Tsunade narrowed her eyes slightly, and on the surface she looked calm, but in fact she was panicking. If her daughter knew what happened last night, she would not be able to face anyone. "Dad." Hearing Tsunade's inner voice, Chinatsu was stunned. An imperceptible cunning appeared on her cute little face. She pretended to be afraid and buried her little head in Kainai's arms, seeming very scared. The acting was poor, but the effect was very good. Kainai didn't know what the mother and daughter were thinking. He just stroked his daughter's head and said to Tsunade, I asked her to keep it a secret and not tell anyone else. It would be too dangerous if this ability was exposed before she grew up. Tsunade let out a light click of her tongue. Seeing that one of the father and daughter was a daughter slave and the other was possessed by a drama queen, the corners of her mouth twitched fiercely, but she also knew that what the two did was not wrong. She just rolled her eyes at them and didn't say much. At the gate of Konoha village, at Shikamaru's call, except for Naruto who was out for training, the original pursuit team gathered here. It's just that in addition to Hyuga Neji, Inuzuka Kiba, Akimichi Choji, and Nara Shikamaru, there is also a recovered Rock Lee. This is the specific situation and arrangements, so let's go. Shikamaru swept his eyes over Neji and the other four, arranged the tactics and strategies, and just when the five of them were about to set off, a crisp voice suddenly rang out behind them, wait. Shikamaru and the other four looked back and saw a girl with pink hair and a wide forehead walking over quickly. It was Sakura. I'm sorry, we can't take you with us on this mission because you didn't convince Sasuke either. Next, we can only convince him by brute force. So Sakura, it's time for you to end it. Shikamaru frowned and glared at Sakura with some anger in his words. This woman clearly knew that Sasuke was going to defect, but she didn't say it at the first time and had to say it after Sasuke defected, making the situation so passive. This time, if the five of them went to chase him, it is very likely that someone would die. This made him feel a little unhappy. Hearing what Shikamaru said, a hint of helplessness flashed across Sakura's eyes, and her eyes moved. She subconsciously began to look for Naruto's figure, because every time she had something to do, as long as she asked Naruto for help, Naruto would stand up to help her. So she cried and changed the subject. Naruto, why didn't Naruto come? Sasuke left, why didn't he come? I can't get Sasuke back by myself. Shikamaru, Neji, Kiba, Choji, and Rock Lee looked at each other and frowned, especially Shikamaru and Neji, who were witnesses of Chiya's abuse of Kakashi and other jonin in the Forest of Death. They were deeply impressed by Chiya's words. If Sakura needs help, ask her there. If not, Sasuke will give it to her. They all felt sorry for Naruto. What's wrong with this woman? Naruto and Jiraiya have been out training for a long time, so it would be fine if she didn't know, but when Sasuke got into trouble, she thought of Naruto. And with this attitude, anyone would be unhappy. It doesn't look like asking for help at all. PS. First update, please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to Staying Up Late Bobby for the reward of 3000 starting coins. Thanks to Quasar for the reward of 2000 starting coins. Chapter 206, Orochimaru wants to break the tradition of killing his master. Rock Lee, the only one who had a good impression of Sakura among the five, reminded her, Sakura, Naruto has gone out to practice with Master Jiraiya and is not in the village. Practice? When? Sakura burst into tears and shouted excitedly because she could not control her emotions. Rock Lee was stunned. About half a month ago. How could this happen? How could Naruto do this? What about Sasuke? Sakura collapsed on the ground in despair. Tears could not stop falling from the corners of her eyes. Shikamaru finally couldn't bear it anymore and said sternly, stop it. I don't know what happened to your Team 7, but if you really want to get Sasuke back, don't waste our time here. If you want to cry, go home and cry. Neji, Kiba, Choji, Lee, let's go. Just as Shikamaru was about to lead the team to set off, there was a hurried sound of footsteps behind him, and at the same time, there was also a quiet voice, wait, no need to go, the mission has been cancelled. At the same time, Kanai finished breakfast and prepared to leave. Then I'll go first. There are still tasks to be completed over there. Be careful outside, don't get caught by ninjas from other countries. Tsunade's pretty face was slightly red. Her eyes were a little evasive, and she said a lame farewell. You tiger woman, you are really not honest enough. Kainai picked up his daughter and put her on the ground. Kainai, you must come back to see me often in the future. Kaiangsha looked at Kainai reluctantly. Kainai gently stroked his daughter's head, looked at Tsunade, nodded, and made a seal with his right hand, performed Flying Thunder God, and disappeared in Tsunade's house. looking at the place where Kainai disappeared. Tsunade picked up Kyangsha, turned her eyes to the direction of the Hokage building, and sighed. Next, we have to face troubles again. It was still the dim and humid underground laboratory. The candlelight was swaying. Orochimaru had a high fever, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. A long snake as thick as an arm swept out, and 4 dull collisions sounded in the underground laboratory. The 4 Otonins flew backwards and hit the stone wall opposite Orochimaru, making a cracking sound. Waste. 4 of you are a waste. You can't even handle the brat. You still have the nerve to come back. Did you all grow up eating shit? Orochimaru's pupils burst into bloodshot as he stared at the 4 Otonins. The 4 Otonins struggled to get up from the ground, knelt on one knee, holding their chests, and lowered their heads. They didn't dare to breathe, for fear of angering Orochimaru. One of the furious Sannin, Kabuto Yakushi, had been standing beside Orochimaru. He was Orochimaru's most capable subordinate, and at this time he was the only one who dared to speak. Lord Orochimaru, please calm down. After all, the opponent is that Fujiwara Chiya. It is not easy for them to come back alive to report the news. Moreover, Fujiwara Chiya promised to train Sasuke for a month. By then, Sasuke will become stronger and more suitable to be your vessel. Hearing this, Orochimaru's expression eased a little, but he still didn't look at Kabuto Yakushi well. Didn't your last intelligence say that Chiya had left the Land of Fire? How come he suddenly appeared in Konoha? Kabuto Yakushi gently supported the frame of his glasses. He is indeed not in the Land of Fire, but Lord Orochimaru, do you still remember what he got from you on the day of the Konoha collapse plan? You mean he mastered that technique? Orochimaru recalled the scene of being threatened by Chiya in his mind. In addition to fear in his heart, a strong sense of humiliation suddenly emerged in his heart. There is only this one explanation. At this point, Kabuto Yakushi's eyes flashed with envy, and waved his hand, signaling the 4 sound ninjas to retreat. After they left, Kabuto Yakushi continued, but this is not the most troublesome thing. Although we don't know why he wants to save Sasuke, it would be bad if he leaves the Flying Thunder God space mark on Sasuke. If a mark is left on Sasuke's body, the other party will be able to find us at any time, and your body may not be able to hold on for a month. I guess he sees this point and extended it for another month. So I suggest you give up this container. The risk is too great. I can select a spare container for you. As soon as Kabuto finished speaking, Orochimaru's eerie and sharp laughter suddenly rang out in the dim and humid secret room. Haha. Did I say something wrong? Kabuto frowned and asked hesitantly. Orochimaru stopped laughing. Kabuto, you really don't know that guy who is full of evil taste. Fujiwara Chiya is a person who wants to bring all the excitement in the world together. There must be a battle between Sasuke and his brother Uchiha. Whether it's me, Uchiha, Fujiwara Chiya, or even Sasuke himself, we all know it. This wonderful duel between brothers. Such excitement. How can Fujiwara Chiya miss this guy? So he absolutely does not want to see the current Sasuke die easily. And he delayed for a month. One is to let me reincarnate early, so that Sasuke has 3 years to become stronger. Second, to see if I will end up like old man Sarutobi in 3 years and die at the hands of his carefully trained disciple. Another thing, he will never teach Sasuke. When he was in the Akatsuki organization, he once told me that this is a world with a pathological master-disciple relationship. If the disciple is too outstanding, then there is a great possibility that he will kill the master in the future. Now it seems that this has been confirmed. He seems to have predicted that I would kill the 3rd Hokage. Now he wants to see how I will die in Sasuke's arms. Kabuto Yakushi suddenly realized and broke out in a cold sweat. In that case, are you still going to take Sasuke back? Why not? The figures of the 3rd Hokage, Sasuke, and Chiya kept appearing in Orochimaru's mind. A strong sense of unwillingness and humiliation suddenly emerged in his heart. He suddenly became emotional. I'm not the old man of the 3rd Hokage. I'm immortal, so I can't die in Sasuke's arms. The one who gets everything in the end will be me. It was the first time that Kabuto Yakushi saw Orochimaru like this. He swallowed hard. I understand. By then, I will arrange for Teiwaya and the others to go to Konoha again in advance. Do you still need to reincarnate now? Orochimaru shook his head. In fact, He was not sure whether he could hold on for a month because the burning sensation of his soul being torn apart was beyond any kind of pain. No, I can hold on for a month. As long as Teiwire and the others bring Sasuke back on time, I will be the one who gets everything in the end. After saying that, the severe pain came again, and suddenly, in the dim secret room, only Orochimaru's heart-wrenching screams and curses were left. Ah, damn old man Sarutobi. Damn Fujiwara Chiya. Ah. PS. Second update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly vote. The third update is still being written. Chapter 207 Sakura becomes a disciple. Inside the Hokage's office, Nibushi and Sakura stood in a corner, with Hyuga Niji, Inuzuka Kiba, Akimichi Choji, Nera Shikamaru, and Rock Lee in between. Tsunade sat in the Hokage's office chair, crossed her arms, and looked at the 7 people with a smile. Chinatsu imitated Tsunade, like a little adult, crossed her arms, listened to their voices, and made comments one by one. Sakura wiped her tears and looked at Nibushi. It's great that Sasuke didn't leave. Chinatsu, love-brained. Shikamaru looked lazy and unmotivated. It's really troublesome, but in the end, it was just a misunderstanding. Chinatsu, decadent man. Choji ate potato chips. Great. It seems that we don't have to work so hard. Chinatsu, foodie, big fat pig. Kiba looked at Sakura, then at Sasuke. Without Naruto, this Team 7 has a lot of troubles. No, without that guy, things will only be more troublesome. As expected, I'm the best. Chinatsu, blind self-confidence Niji, go down and continue the unfinished training. Chinatsu, this looks more normal. Rock Lee glanced at Sakura, although I feel very sorry that this mission was terminated. I'm glad that nothing happened. Sakura. Chinatsu, a dog licker? Nejiru, another troublesome woman who only knows how to cry, and that bastard Fujiwara Chiya, who dared to lie to me and call him daddy. Sooner or later I will settle this account with him. Chinatsu. This Nejiru is really arrogant. He actually dared to scold Chiya. He must be taught a lesson. Tell me, what's going on? Tsunade looked at Nejiru. Nejiru replied indifferently, nothing, it's just that Orochimaru sent someone to invite me last night, and I directly refused. He would not admit that he didn't go last night because Chiya came out to stop him. Otherwise, I'm afraid that he has been possessed by Orochimaru's reincarnation. Tsunade continued to ask, what about Sakura? Nejiru glanced at Sakura. This woman is always crying. It's really annoying. I was afraid that she would alert Orochimaru's men, so I knocked her out. Sasuke, Sakura looked at Nejiru and tears flowed again. In response, Nejiru just said 2 words lightly. Shut up. Sasuke, but I'm to you. Sakura heard the words, and the tears flowed faster. Don't bother me in my business in the future. I still need to practice, and I don't have time to play love games with you here. After saying that, Nejiru completely ignored everyone in the Hokage's office and turned to walk out. You are really a brat who talks to himself. Looking at the place where Sasuke disappeared, Tsunade didn't bother with him, just waved her hand. Okay, it's okay. Everyone go away. Mom, it's not fun here. I'm going home. As soon as Sasuke left, Zyro Kyangsha didn't stay and jumped off the desk. She wanted to teach this Nejiru a lesson. Finally, the only one left in the huge Hokage office was Sakura, who was still crying. Why are you still here? Is there something wrong? Tsunade stretched lazily. She was not worried about Chinatsu's safety because Shizune would follow her. I have a request for you. Sakura wiped her tears and said with red eyes, I want you to accept me as your disciple. Can you tell me the reason? Tsunade did not agree directly. The reason why the original story was willing to train her was largely because of the strong recommendation of Naruto and Kakashi. Now Naruto has gone to practice with Jiraiya, and because of Chiya, the relationship is not as close as in the original story. In addition, she already has Karin as her disciple, so she has no intention of taking special care of Sakura. The most important thing is that she has a daughter with extraordinary talent, and she has to squeeze Chiya occasionally. While being the Hokage, even if she wants to teach, she doesn't have that much energy. I don't want to watch Sasuke leave me like last night. Sakura said with a firm expression and tears. Is that so? Tsunade was a little disappointed with Sakura's answer. If she answered that she didn't want to be a burden anymore and realized her own shortcomings, then maybe she would make an exception and accept a second disciple. After all, Kakashi had recommended him to her many times. But now, Karin. As soon as the voice fell, Karin, who had changed into a Konoha ninja outfit, walked in and said respectfully, "Teacher." Tsunade nodded slightly and introduced, "Sakura, this Karin, my disciple, you will learn from her in the future. I will go over to guide you when I have time. How much you can learn depends on you. So you agree?" Sakura's face was happy. "I guess so, Karin, you take her." Tsunade waved her hand impatiently, just as if she was adding a medical ninja to Konoha. At the same time, outside the Hokage building, the cold-looking Najiru was walking on the street on his way home. Suddenly, a childish voice sounded behind him. "Hey, Najiru." Najiru stopped and was stunned for a moment, but did not turn around, just thinking that he had heard it wrong. Because the only person who could call him with such a bad taste was that bastard full of bad taste, Fujiwara Chiya. "Nezuka, hey, I'm talking about you. Don't pretend you didn't hear me." "That Nezuka of the Uchiha family." The childish voice sounded again. "Shut up." Nezuka turned back angrily and saw a pretty little girl with blonde hair and twin ponytails standing behind him like a little adult with her arms folded. It was the girl he had seen in the Hokage's office not long ago, the daughter of the 5th Hokage Tsunade, who had just turned 4 years old, Chinatsu. Nezuka was stunned, not understanding why this brat was looking for him. Shikamaru, Niji and others who left the Hokage building together were also attracted by Chinatsu and stopped. "Nezuka, duel with me." Chinatsu showed a harmless smile like Anya's. Hearing this, Inuzuka Kiba opened his eyes wide and looked at Shikamaru in surprise. "Hey, Shikamaru, that brat, the daughter of the Hokage, is actually going to challenge Sasuke, that cocky guy. What a hassle. Who knows?" Shikamaru snorted, and on the surface he looked lazy, but in fact his sharp eyes noticed that Chinatsu was unusual. His IQ of over 200 told him that the little girl in front of him was definitely not an ordinary brat. "I'm not interested, and I don't want to be interested. And don't call me Najira, otherwise even if you are the daughter of the Hokage, I won't be polite to you. If you want to play ninja games, go find someone else." Najira's face returned to its usual cold and calm expression, and without any hesitation, he directly refused and turned away. He didn't want to play with the brat who was still wet behind the ears. He had to become stronger as soon as possible and then defeat Uchiha Itachi. Make up for the update. Today's 3 updates will be sent after 12 o'clock. Chapter 208 Chinatsu vs. Nezushi. A brat? Hearing Sasuke's inner voice, little Chinatsu pouted her lips, imitated an adult. A sarcastic smile appeared on her face and provoked him. "Are you scared, Sasuke?" Sasuke was a guy with a very strong self-esteem. As expected, he was not the one who was provoked. He laughed out of anger. "It's interesting. You are the first one who dares to talk to me like this. That guy Fujiwara Chiya once said that Konoha was jointly founded by the 1st Hokage and the Uchiha clan. Your mother, the 5th Hokage, is the granddaughter of the 1st Hokage. In other words, you are a descendant of the 1st Hokage, and I'm a descendant of the Uchiha clan. Let me see how much strength you have inherited from the 1st Hokage." Seeing that Sasuke actually accepted the challenge of a 4-year-old girl, Inuzuka Kiba couldn't stand it anymore, and shouted, "Hey, Sasuke, you are arguing with a little girl who is not even a ninja. Don't you think it's too much? Shut up. If you can't stand it, you can join him, or all of you can join together." Sasuke glanced at Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, Niji, and Rock Lee, and didn't take them seriously at all. "This guy," Inuzuka Kiba said softly. Niji was also aroused by his competitive spirit. "He is really arrogant, don't you think, Lee?" Rock Lee nodded. "Yes, Sasuke, you are too arrogant, but I'm willing to accept your challenge alone." "Then come on." Sasuke was disdainful of the 3 people's words. "Oh my, this is really lively." A lazy voice suddenly sounded in everyone's ears, and the next moment, Kakashi appeared behind Rock Lee and Hyuga Niji, with his hands around their shoulders. "Kakashi teacher?" Niji, Rock Lee and the other 5 showed surprised expressions. Najira narrowed his eyes and said to Kakashi, "Kakashi, you came at the right time. This arrogant kid wanted to challenge me, and I agreed. These guys beside you. Before Najera finished speaking, Kakashi interrupted, isn't this good? A descendant of the Uchiha clan, and a descendant of the Senju clan. Inozuka Kiba showed disbelief. Hey, Kakashi teacher, you are not kidding. What if? If there is any danger, I will stop it. Kakashi let go of Niji and Rock Lee's shoulders and looked around. This is a downtown area, not suitable for fighting. Let's go to the training ground. No, I don't have so much time to waste. Let's do it here. Sasuke crossed his arms, still showing disdain, and he was too lazy to even open his Sharingan. As you wish. However, the next second, Najera regretted it. The Sharinganju quietly operated, and Shiksha suddenly appeared in front of Najeru in an instant. Her tender pink fist, carrying chakra that was almost condensed into substance, blasted at Najeru's face. So fast. Najeru was suddenly startled, and subconsciously crossed his arms to block. The pink fist collided with his arms, and Najeru suddenly felt a strong force coming, and the whole person flew backwards, turning 3 times in the air, and plowing the ground for several meters, before stopping his retreat. He looked at Shiksha again, and put away his contemptuous eyes. How is it? Kakashi looked at Sasuke. Interesting, little girl, it seems that you are much stronger than Kiba, the guy who only knows how to shout. Sasuke showed a dangerous smile on his face. Hey, what do you mean by stronger than me? Hearing this, Kiba was immediately unhappy. But Najera didn't even bother to answer him, and continued to say to Chinatsu, okay, I formally accept your challenge. At this moment, Sasuke's desire to win was also ignited. In his opinion, it was not just a matter of facing the provocation of a little girl. It was about the honor of the Uchiha clan. If they let it go today, the Uchiha clan would lose face. Then let's change the place. Kakashi said lightly. Soon, Kakashi, Chinatsu, Najera, and Shikamaru came to the place where Team 7 had snatched the bell. Najera looked indifferent and behaved coldly. 30 steps away, Chinatsu puffed up her cheeks and stretched out her right hand to Kakashi. Hey, Kain. No, Kakashi, give me a kunai. Kakashi casually threw a kunai, which was caught by the latter, and the corners of his mouth twitched fiercely. Kainai thought to himself, he actually saw through the pretending technique. Is it because he didn't read my voice? Ready. Kainai stretched out his voice in the tone of Kakashi. Begin. As he finished speaking, Najeru couldn't hold back, and took the lead, throwing several shurikens at Chinatsu. At the same time, the whole person turned into a shadow, and rushed towards Chinatsu in one step. Clang clang. With the prediction of the observation haki, Chinatsu easily deflected the shurikens thrown by Najeru. One move was fruitless, and Najeru performed the physical technique of lion combo. As the saying goes, a lion needs to fight a rabbit with all its strength. He knew that the little girl in front of him was not an ordinary person, so he had to use all his strength. This is. Rock Lee thought of the scene when Sasuke defeated the red copper armor in the Chunin exam. Kiba sighed on the side. This guy, does he need to be so serious to deal with a little girl? No. Niji shook his head. I don't know. When he had opened his Byakugan. Should I say that she is worthy of being the daughter of the 5th Hokage and the descendant of the 1st Hokage? Chakra is born different from ordinary people. Under the gaze of the white eyes, he saw an unusually large amount of chakra from Chinatsu, at least reaching the level of Konoha's elite Jonin Kakashi. This is already higher than all the mid-level ninjas present. I just don't know how good her actual combat ability is. As the daughter of the 5th Hokage, with this level of chakra, she should be able to dodge this move. Sure enough, when Najera used the lion combo to start the fight, Chinatsu easily dodged it. Not only that, Chinatsu took the initiative, as if she had anticipated Najera's move. At the moment of dodging, her tender pink fist, carrying the chakra of the heavenly Gangju immortal art, blasted into Najera's abdomen. Bang, a sharp pain and the abdomen hit, and Najera flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. The whole audience was in an uproar, and Shikamaru, Choji, Niji, Kiba, and Rock Lee all opened their eyes wide in surprise at the same time, with disbelief on their faces. TSK. Observation haki seems to be a bit too bullying in this world. Seeing this scene, Kainai couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Although Chinatsu is young, her bottom line is here. Observation haki can predict the enemy's moves. Sharinganju can increase speed, strength, and chakra in all directions. Thus, it makes up for the difference in size and age between Shinatsu and Najira. With the current Najira facing Shinatsu, who has observation haki and Senjutsu, there is almost no chance of winning. PS. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 209. Nizuzi was defeated and opened the 3 Magatama. In addition, Shinatsu also has the more buggy ability of mind reading. Any intention of Nizuzi will be seen through. It can be said that from the moment Shinatsu learned the Sharinganju, the two were no longer on the same level. Damn it. What happened just now? She seemed to be able to see through my attack. Nizuzi recalled the scene just now in his mind, endured the severe pain in his abdomen, and got up from the ground with difficulty, opened the double Magatama Sharingan, and attacked Shinatsu again. The result is undoubtedly that he was beaten up again, just like the first time he met Rock Lee during the Chunin exam. Why? Why did I open the Sharingan and see her movements clearly, but I just couldn't avoid it? At this moment, Nizuzi felt extremely depressed. He formed seals with both hands and unconsciously began to perform Chidori. However, before he could free up lightning in his hands, Kainai's voice rang out from the side. He said in Kakishi's tone, "Sasuke, Chidori is not for Konoha's fellows. Or, facing a child who is 8 or 9 years younger than you have no choice but to use Chidori. Stop talking nonsense." Nibashi lightly sighed, stopped making hand seals, took a deep breath, and tried to calm down the restless emotions in his heart. He took out a kunai and rushed towards Shinatsu again. This time, he was much more careful. He was not kicked away like the previous 2 times, but took a steady approach. Seeing Nibashi attacking again with a kunai in his hand, Shinatsu lost interest in playing the absolute side, and Sharinganju was secretly activated in his body, intending to end the battle. At this moment, Kainai's voice rang in her ear. "Kyangsha, don't try to end the battle too early. Your current attack mode is too simple. The moves in Sharinganju are also very crude and imperfect. The reason you have the advantage is just relying on the observation haki in the Sage mode. Take advantage of this opportunity and hone yourself." "I know." Kyangsha nodded slightly, returned Kainai's firm eyes, raised the kunai, and greeted Nizuzi. With Nizuzi's experience in physical skills, he is naturally much more experienced than a rookie like Kyangsha who has just started fighting. He soon discovered Kyangsha's weakness. That is, as Kainai said, she only has strength and speed, but her attack mode is too simple, and her physical skills have great flaws. It is obvious that she is a novice in fighting. In just a few rounds, Kyangsha has been put at a disadvantage. "We can win." The pupils of the Magatama kept spinning. Nizuzi saw Kyangsha's moves and his face once again regained his confident smile. Clang clang clang. On the empty flat ground, the figures of Shinatsu and Nihashi kept flashing, kunai kept clashing, and the high intensity friction of metal caused sparks to fly continuously. According to Kainai, Shinatsu did not care about being suppressed. She used her observation haki to predict Nihashi's movements, appreciate his combat experience, and improve her own shortcomings. At this moment, Shinatsu was completely in combat mode. After fighting for a few minutes, Kiba, Choji, and Shikamaru were dazzled. Only Niji, who opened his Byakugan, and Rock Lee, the expert in physical skills, could see clearly. Gradually, Shinatsu began to have room to fight back against Nihashi. In a quarter of an hour, relying on the combat experience learned from Nihashi, she was able to fight back and forth with Nihashi without relying entirely on observation haki and mind reading. Is this guy using me as a training target? Chihiru's strength was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing a little kid trying to surpass him step by step, the arrogant Nijiru finally began to feel a little annoyed. As for Shikamaru and the other 4, their hearts could be described as numb at this moment. At this point, even those who couldn't see, could see that this was a genius who was even better than Sasuke. This can't go on. Nijiru lightly tutted, threw out the kunai in his hand, and while forcing Chihiru back, he jumped back several times. He distanced himself from her. Since Chidori Kakashi didn't let him use it, he would use the Uchiha family's ancestral ninjutsu. The Sharingan used the windmill and the 3 swords to activate. Countless kunai connected by silk threads were thrown at Chihiru. The silk threads intertwined together, and although Chihiro dodged them all, Nijiru's mouth corners holding the silk threads were slightly raised, outlining a weird smile. The next moment, the silk thread in his hand loosened, and all the silk threads quickly intertwined together, binding Chinatsu to the wooden stake that had tied Naruto before. Nibashi quickly formed seals with both hands. Fire escape, dragon fire technique. A stream of chakra condensed in Nibashi's throat, and then suddenly spurted out, turning into a huge beam of flame that covered Chinatsu along the silk thread in his mouth. In the flames, Chinatsu's shrill screams rang out. "Ah hey, Sasuke's too cruel, we have to save people quickly." Ya couldn't stand it anymore, and wanted to step forward to stop him, but Kainai held his shoulders. He's really merciless when he's doing it, but don't worry, if something really happens, I will step forward to stop it. Kainai's mouth corners slightly raised, his face did not show any nervousness, and he had no intention of stepping forward to stop it, just said lightly. Shikamaru frowned slightly, observing Kakashi from the corner of his eyes. Although they looked the same, and the chakra observed by Niji's Byakugan and the smell smelled by the ninja dog Akamaru were the same, he always felt that Kakashi's behavior was a little strange today. It was as if he was not himself, and he was secretly wary. The flames dissipated, revealing a charred corpse. The second pillar confidently walked forward to check. The next moment, there was a bang, the smoke dissipated, and the corpse turned into a half-burned wooden stake. It was actually a substitution technique. This is. The second pillar's pupils suddenly shrank, and the scene of the death forest and Orochimaru torturing him appeared in his mind. A strong sense of humiliation instantly surged into his heart, and his eyes gradually changed from 2 Magatama to 3 Magatama. Looking back suddenly, it happened that Chinatsu used a kunai to push against his back, with an innocent smile on her face. Second pillar, it seems that I won. Boom. The second pillar was struck by lightning. At this moment, Nishikawa felt his brain go blank. He lost. As a member of the Uchiha clan, he opened the Sharingan, but today he actually lost to a 4-year-old girl. How is this possible? How can he take revenge on Uchiha Itachi if he can't even beat a 4-year-old girl? Papa. Just when Nishikawa was doubting his life, applause came from far away, and at the same time, Kakashi's lazy voice came. "You really arranged a very exciting battle for my student and the daughter of the Hokage." Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, and were all shocked, only to see Kakashi, with his right eye slightly closed, and a scarlet Sharingan in his left eye, slowly walking over. PS. Second update, please recommend and vote for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210, Shippuden is about to begin. Kana, Choji, Niji, Lee, back off. Shikamaru, who had long suspected Chiya's identity, was the first to react. While shouting at his companions, he immediately used the shadow imitation technique to freeze Chiya. Kiba, Choji, Niji, and Rock Lee were shocked when they heard this, and hurriedly distanced themselves from Chiya. Shikamaru, what is going on? How could there be 2 Kakashi teachers? Could they be shadow clones? Inozuka Kiba looked around at the 2 Kakashis and exclaimed, how is it possible? In a situation like just now, the real Kakashi teacher would not let Sasuke do such a cruel thing. This one is fake. Shikamaru said firmly. No way, the smell he exudes is clearly that of Kakashi teacher. Inozuka Kiba arched his nose and sniffed. As if to verify that Shikamaru's words were correct, the ninja dog Akamaru in his arms also barked, indicating that he agreed with his master's words. Hyuga Niji continued, what Kiba said is right. Even the chakra is almost the same as the real Kakashi. It's hard to tell the real from the fake. Who is this guy? Oh my, he was discovered? You are really worthy of being the heir of the Naru clan. You even saw through my perfect transformation technique. Chiya's expression was still calm, and his tone was a little frivolous. After the Reikiri was performed, a ball of lightning appeared in Kakashi's hand, and he slowly walked towards Chiya. From the battle between Sasuke and Shiksha just now, I found that Shiksha's physical movements her extraordinary perception and special chakra, and the way she addressed Sasuke. "You are Fujiwara Chiya, right?" "Yes. Kakashi, we meet again." The disguise technique was lifted, and Chiya slowly turned into her true appearance. All the ninjas in Konoha widened their eyes and looked incredulous. Among the crowd, Kiba Inuzuka and Choji Kimichi, the only two who had not seen Chiya, were shocked. Their throats rolled, and they swallowed hard. Inuzuka Kiba exclaimed, "Fujiwara Chiya, is this guy the disciple of Teacher Han? You should be called Inuzuka Kiba. Say hello to Teacher Han for me later, but remember to call me senior brother next time, otherwise, I'm afraid I can't help but kill you with a knife." Kanai squinted his eyes and discussed with Inuzuka Kiba, pretending to threaten. He found that he seemed to like this feeling of being feared. "I know." Inuzuka Kiba's scalp was a little numb when he was looked at by Kanai. His hair was tied up, and he turned his head away, not daring to look at Kanai. Even Akamaru in his arms was so scared that he whimpered and shrank into his clothes, not daring to show his head. Kakashi frowned and asked, "The third Hokage is dead, and Danzo has also defected. Konoha should have no enemies for you. What is your purpose in coming to Konoha this time?" "Purpose?" Kanai smiled. Purpose? He didn't have any purpose. It was just a simple cultivation of Flying Thunder God, and he came to leave a space mark and visit his wife and children. Originally, he wanted to leave directly after breakfast. Who knew that Jinatsu was so troublesome, and went to challenge the second pillar. Out of a father's concern, he followed. But he didn't expect that the second pillar would open the three Megatama because of losing to Chinatsu. This was a blessing in disguise. Ahem. Kanai coughed lightly and said, "Nonsense, seriously. Just as you think the second pillar is the same type of person as you, so during the Chunin exam, you took the time to guide him for a month. I also value the talent of Chinatsu and think she is the same type of person as me, so I took the time to teach her for a while. In fact, you have also seen that only half a month has passed since the junior high school entrance examination. I became like you and taught you intermittently for half a month. It seems that Chinatsu, a 4-year-old girl, has surpassed your disciple, the second pillar of the Uchiha family." Asshole. Hearing this, the second pillar's eyes were about to burst, and he almost roared, accompanied by a burst of chirping birds. With a strong sense of unwillingness, he turned into a rage, and Hashira used Chidori to charge at Kanai. He felt insulted and deceived. This guy refused to teach him on the grounds that he did not accept disciples. But he turned around and taught a 4-year-old kid. And in just half a month, he almost surpassed his years of hard work. This was not just a slap in his face. It was a murder. "Calm down, Sasuke. If you rush over now, you will die." Another Kakashi suddenly jumped out from under Sasuke's feet, pressed him to the ground, and said sternly, "Another clone." Kanai glanced at Kakashi, who was pressing Sasuke to the ground, and then looked at Kakashi, who was approaching step by step in front of him with Reikiri in his hand, and chuckled. "Kakashi, you are still so cautious. The one in front of you must be a clone, and it is a Thunder Shadow clone. As for the real body, let me guess, it won't be hiding in the pit under Sasuke's feet. Have you been seen through?" Kakashi, holding Reikiri, slowly climbed out of the pit. In front of Kanai, the Thunder Shadow clone made a sizzling sound, turned into lightning, and dissipated in the air. The right choice. Kanai sighed lightly and pretended to threaten. "If you dared to attack me just now, I'm afraid that now, except for Chinatsu, everyone else has become a dead person." You are really shameless. Don't forget that you are now under my shadow imitation technique and can't move. The struggling voice of Shikamaru sounded behind Kanai. Obviously, using the shadow imitation technique to restrain Kanai consumed a lot of chakra. Shadow imitation technique? It's an interesting trick. It's a very rare Yintan ninjutsu. But, young man from the Nera family, you are only half right. I was hit by the shadow imitation technique, but I'm not unable to move. Kanai turned his back to Shikamaru. Under Shikamaru's astonished eyes, Kanai exerted a little force and easily broke free from the shadow imitation technique with the strength of a great swordsman in the pirate world. How is this possible? The shadow imitation technique was forcibly broken, and Shikamaru collapsed on the ground with exhaustion. He looked up at Kanai, who had his back to him, and was shocked and speechless. Kai and I continued to pretend. After all, the battle of ninjas is a battle of chakra. With the shadow imitation technique released by your little chakra, my chakra can easily break free. Kai and I looked around and chuckled. Goodbye Kakashi, goodbye everyone, and the young man of the Uchiha family, you are really weak. When your brother and I were your age, one wiped out the Shimura clan and the Sarutobi clan, and the other wiped out the Uchiha family. And you, with your Sharingan activated, can't even beat a 4-year-old girl I taught casually. You are too weak. Hearing that, Kai and I was about to leave, Nejiru, who was pressed to the ground by Kakashi's shadow clone, shouted anxiously, "Wait. Fujiwara Chiya, you bastard, wait for me." He still wanted to get strength from Kai and I. Unfortunately, Kai and I didn't pay attention to him. He just blinked his right eye at Chinatsu, and with a bang, he turned into smoke and disappeared on the spot. PS. The third update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 211. Teaching Tsunade Armament Haki. As Chiya left, everyone's tense nerves finally relaxed. Except for Kakashi and Chinatsu, the rest of the people seemed to be deflated balls, and they collapsed on the ground with their hands on the ground, gasping for breath. Akimichi Choji survived and said, "We are saved." Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Rock Lee nodded in agreement. At this time, Shizune came over and looked at everyone who looked like they had just come back from a walk through the gates of hell. She couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong with everyone? That guy Fujiwara Chiya is back again." Kakashi sighed helplessly, released the shadow clone that was holding down Nejiru, and told him about Chiya impersonating him and provoking a fight between Nejiru and Chinatsu. After hearing this, Shizune also looked helpless and complained in her heart, "Master Chiya is really enough. Why does he always do such things?" Soon, under the leadership of Shizune, everyone came to the Hokage building. This guy's really in trouble, one after another. After listening to the report from Kakashi and others, Tsunade touched her forehead in distress after returning to the office. After sending everyone away, she picked up Chinatsu and put it on the table and asked sternly, "Tell me, what's going on? Why did you fight with that Uchiha Sasuke?" Chinatsu's face turned red and she looked away guiltily. She couldn't tell her mother that she heard the inner voice of the second pillar and saw him scolding her father, so she took action to teach him a lesson. The ability to listen to the voice of all things is the only secret between her and her father, and she will never tell it. At the critical moment, Kanai came out from the dark and rescued her daughter. She saw that the second pillar was rude to you, her mother as the Hokage, and wanted to protect you. "Didn't you leave? Why are you back again?" Tsunade rolled her eyes at him, obviously not surprised by Kanai's sudden appearance. Seeing my precious daughter, for her mother, running to challenge Nizuzi without any combat experience, I stayed to watch. Kanai walked to the table with a smile and sat down, holding Chinatsu in his arms. "Is that so?" Tsunade's face lit up, a warm current flowed through her heart, and she looked at her daughter excitedly. It seems that her daughter has really grown up. I thought that there was only Kanai, the irresponsible father, in her heart, but I didn't expect that her mother was so important in her heart. Yes. Chinatsu felt a little guilty when her mother looked at her, and she unconsciously looked away. In fact, she just heard Nizuzi scolding his father in his heart. Of course, she would never say such words. "Good, my precious daughter." Tsunade excitedly held her daughter in her arms and bit her wildly, making Chinatsu's little face full of her saliva. "Be careful, you are so grown up. You still make your daughter's face full of saliva." Kanai casually took out a pack of tissues from the system warehouse, took out a few, and wiped for his daughter. Hearing this, Tsunade was immediately displeased and muttered fierce words. "Why, you dislike it? Well, next time, don't even think about touching my saliva." Kanai's mouth twitched fiercely, and seeing the expression on her daughter's face, as if the door to a new world had been opened, she looked at her mother with astonishment, and suddenly felt that her head was bigger than two, and hurriedly changed the subject. "Keep your voice down. This is a Hokage's office. What are you afraid of? Anyway, if nothing unexpected happens, those guys outside have been cast under your illusion, and they can't hear us talking at all. Don't forget, last time at the desk, you At this moment, Tsunade's hot temper also came up all of a sudden. It was not until she mentioned the desk that she remembered that she had a daughter in her arms. She lowered her head to meet Kyangsha's curious eyes. Her face flushed, and her voice stopped abruptly. "What are you still talking about? Just say it." Kyanai showed a look of giving up. Judging from the way this tiger woman was talking without restraint today, Kyangsha probably understood everything. Nothing. Tsunade shook her head violently and changed the subject. "Tell me, what's wrong with you? It's understandable that Chinatsu is acting up. After all, she is still young. But you have conflicts with Kakashi and others every other day. Don't you think that I, as the Hokage, am troublesome enough?" Kyanai looked down at Chinatsu. Coincidentally, she looked over at him and made a face at him. The corners of her mouth twitched again, and she complained in her heart, "This little witch is young, but she has a big heart as she has the ability to read minds. I guess she knows much more than anyone else." Ahem. Kyanai coughed lightly and said casually, "I just wanted to give Chinatsu a legitimate reason to use my ninjutsu. After all, you know how talented our daughter is, and we can't let it go to waste." Hearing this, Tsunade reluctantly believed Kyanai's words, and then heard Kyanai say, "By the way, I'll pass on another ninjutsu to you, the Hokage. To be honest, although you are ahead of everyone in medical ninjutsu, as a Hokage, your strength is really not that good. Your means of attack are too single. Apart from your strange strength, you have almost no decent means of attack. It's time to learn a new jutsu." Tsunade was stunned. "What jutsu?" Kyanai waved at Tsunade. "Don't be silly, Chinatsu is still beside you." Tsunade's face flushed, and although she said so, she slowly moved closer. Kyanai held Tsunade's flushed face, closed her eyes slightly, and their foreheads pressed together. Kyanai's right eyelid suddenly opened, revealing a scarlet Sharingan to look at it, and Tsunade was stunned for a moment. Kyanai taught her the training method of armament haki in the form of illusion. As for observation haki, Kyanai couldn't teach it. Because unlike armament haki, which consumes chakra, it is a special physical technique to some extent. It can be cultivated, as long as the physique is strong enough. The strength of armament haki depends on the size of chakra. Tsunade, who has been practicing super strength for many years, and has a strong chakra in her body as a member of the Senju clan, meets this requirement. It is almost difficult for others to learn it, unless they are like Might Guy who specializes in physical techniques or the 4th generation Raikage who has tailed beast level chakra and a strong physique. Otherwise, it is difficult for ordinary people to learn it. Of course, Kyanai would not be stupid enough to teach these people. And observation haki in this world is more like a bloodline limit. Kyanai tried to teach Izumi, but failed without a doubt. It can only be inherited like Chinatsu. At present, the only one who can still master observation haki is his other daughter, Chika. This is. Tsunade came back to her senses and looked at Kyanai again with disbelief. The Scarlet 3 Megatama Sharingan in Kyanai's right eye hummed and returned to its normal black pupil. PS. First update. Thanks to Raikage Blade for the 5,000 starting coins and Quasar for the 7,000 starting coins. Chapter 212. Tsunade first heard about Mrs. Mikoto and suspected Chiya. If a non-Uchiha has a Sharingan transplanted, it cannot be closed. Kakashi is an example. At most, it can increase insight and copy ninjutsu. Kyanai can use it freely and can also cast illusions and close it freely. Doesn't this mean that he is also an Uchiha? Kyanai said nonsense in a serious tone. This is a new physical technique I developed, based on the observation haki. I named it armament haki. It can enhance personal defense, just like invisible armor. It can also evolve into offensive power. It has the characteristics of being flowable, and there are different techniques for using it, which can be divided into hardening, entanglement, external release, and internal destruction. It requires a strong physique to support it. You can't learn observation haki, but you can learn armament haki. With your strong physique from the long-term practice of strange power by the Senju clan, it should not be difficult to learn, but it depends on you to what extent it can give you. Of course I know this. I'm asking you what happened to the eyes just now. Kyanai has already transmitted the introduction and practice methods of armament haki to Tsunade using illusion. Tsunade took a deep breath and added, "That was the Sharingan just now." Kainai nodded slowly. There was nothing to hide from Tsunade about this kind of thing, because Chinatsu might open it one day. Tsunade spoke again. Are you a member of the Uchiha clan? That's not the case. Kainai did not keep the suspense any longer, and gave the reason he had prepared long ago. This was a gift from Uchiha Fugaku. On the night of the Uchiha clan's extermination, I went to the Uchiha clan's territory to save my best friend, and happened to meet Uchiha Fugaku, who was waiting to die because he didn't want to fight his son Uchiha Itachi with swords. Fugaku, like Uchiha Itachi, also opened the Manjaki Sharingan. In order to save his wife and protect his little son, he made a deal with me. What deal? Tsunade was stunned and asked subconsciously. Kainai lied without blushing or beating his heart. The Sharingan is called the eye that reflects the soul. When you open the Manjaki Sharingan, there is a certain chance of awakening the ability that you desire most in your heart. Fugaku is the head of the Uchiha clan. Because he was unable to resolve the conflict between the village and the Uchiha, he wished to be an ordinary person, not a member of the Uchiha clan. When the Manjaki was opened, the eye technique residing in his eyes came into being. That is to deprive someone of their bloodline limit and transfer it to others. Tsunade suddenly realized, you mean to say that he used the eye technique of the Manjaki Sharingan to transfer his bloodline limit to you? Yeah. After all, when I defected from Konoha, I didn't expect to come back, let alone meet you. I agreed because I thought it would be an extra means of saving my life. Who would have thought that in the end the Sharingan couldn't keep up with the speed of my strength improvement, so I basically never used it. Kainai nodded. I don't know what to say to you. Tsunade sighed helplessly, then frowned and asked, you didn't get the eye technique that deprived the bloodline limit like Fugaku? She didn't want her little man to become like Orochimaru. Not really. Everyone's Sharingan ability is different. Mine is a natural opening. And I haven't opened the Manjaki yet. If you open it in the future, I don't know what specific ability it will have. Maybe it will be. At this point, Kainai leaned close to Tsunade's ear and whispered a few words. Tsunade pushed Kainai away and immediately blushed. Bah, you are so frivolous. Then she changed the subject and said, what about Fugaku's wife Uchiha Makoto? I found a safe place with my best friend and properly settled her. The ninja world is very complicated, and there are many people who are more powerful than Orochimaru. I hope you can keep this secret for me. Even if it's Nozuzi, I will tell him when the time is right. Kainai warned, TSK, I'm not interested in worrying about this. But then again, I know Uchiha Makoto. She is also a great beauty. You didn't do anything to her, did you? Tsunade's eyes were suspicious, staring at Kainai intently. She knew how bold her little man was, and he was even more shameless when chasing women. At the beginning, she was half-heartedly chased by this guy when they met for the first time. How could that be possible? How could I possibly attack a married woman? You can't wrongly accuse a good person. Kainai lied with his eyes open. In fact, Kainai didn't lie, because Mrs. Makoto had been divorced by Fugaku and was a single free person. They were called normal men and women interacting. Free love. Really? Tsunade's eyes became more and more suspicious. Kainai didn't answer, but looked at Chihiro beside her. Although Chihiro couldn't read Kainai's mind, she also roughly guessed something through the previous mind reading of Nejiru. When Kainai asked Nejiru to call him dad, immediately shook his head at Kainai, indicating that he denied it. Otherwise today, the Hokage building might be demolished. Kainai secretly sweated in his heart and denied, really not. Really not? Tsunade still didn't believe it, because she knew too much about what kind of person Kainai was. Okay, stop thinking about it. Kainai patted Tsunade's shoulder and changed the subject. I'm leaving. Next, you should practice armament haki well. Remember, don't teach anyone without my permission. The same goes for Chinatsu. She is too young. She can only learn it when her body is strong enough. I know. You, don't mess around outside, or you'll be in trouble. Tsunade was just feeling upset at the moment. Her woman's intuition told her that her husband was very likely to have cheated on her. Is there anything else you want to tell me? Kainai pondered for a moment, and finally decided to tell the story about Jijira. Actually, Jijira really planned to defect yesterday, but I stopped him. because if Jujira goes there now, there is a high chance that he will be possessed by Orochimaru's reincarnation. In a month, Jujira will run to Orochimaru in pursuit of power. His heart is no longer in Konoha, and he only wants revenge. And if he doesn't go to Orochimaru, he will sooner or later be swallowed by Orochimaru's curse and lose himself. You should just turn a blind eye to it, and send a Linoop like today over there. Just arrange for follow-up support. Just treat it as an experience for them. By the way, you can also consider asking for help from the Sand Ninja to deepen the relationship between the allies. After listening to Kainai's words, Tsunade looked suspicious again. No wonder that kid was so excited to see you. It seems you have already had contact. PS. Second update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly vote. Chapter 213. Shippuden begins. I say, you think so much about him, you don't really treat him as your son. Tsunade stared at Kainai. How is it possible? If I treated that kid as my son, I would teach him powerful magic like Chinatsu. It's just because of the deal with Fugaku. Kainai said seriously. At the same time, he added in his mind that at most he would be a stepson. For a stepson, he would at most save the other's life, and would not choose to be Dorgan. That's true. Tsunade still agreed with Kainai's statement that he was only good to his relatives. Kainai was worried that Tsunade would ask more questions, so he simply stopped talking nonsense. Anyway, he had already explained what needed to be explained. Akatsuki would not take any action in the next 3 years, so he didn't need to worry about it. Okay, I should go. After saying that, Kainai rubbed his daughter's head, and with his right hand, he symbolically made a seal, and completely left Konoha village. Hey, you guy, wait for me. Hearing this, Tsunade wanted to ask Chinatsu whether she would also inherit the Sharingan bloodline limit, but unfortunately Kainai had already left. Tsunade subconsciously looked down at her daughter, who happened to look over as well, revealing a pair of Scholar 3 Magatama Sharingan. She was immediately shocked. Perhaps even Kainai didn't know. As early as when Kainai and Tsunade first learned from her that he was her father, she had activated the single Magatama Sharingan. Later, because Kainai and Tsunade opened the door to a new world, she learned what that meant through mind reading and activated the double Magatama. And just now, she guessed that Kainai seemed to have a new woman, so she activated the 3 Magatama Sharingan. 3 years later, the Hidden Rain Village. The open-air balcony of the tallest tower. Pain 10 sat on the tongue of the Shura statue, as usual, in a daze, while being drenched in the rain, looking very gloomy. Pain. Conan walked up from the stairwell, and stood behind Pain. The genin who was sent to participate in the Chunin exam held by Sand Village in Konoha is back. Pain didn't even turn his head. How is it going? Unexpectedly smooth. Conan began to report the situation. In addition to Gaara, the one-tailed Jinchuriki who has become the Kazakage, the seven-tailed Jinchuriki of the Gakin village has also appeared, and is now on the way back to the Gakin village. In addition, Zetsu has also discovered that a huge amount of chakra is gradually gathering in a lake somewhere in the land of water. It is very likely that the three-tail will be resurrected there in the near future. Counting the six-tailed Jinchuriki Yu-Gi-Oh, the rebel ninja of the water country and mist village, and the two-tailed Jinchuriki Yu-Boku from the cloud village in the land of lightning who we discovered not long ago, as well as the Jonin of the Iwagakure village, the steam ninja, and the five-tailed Jinchuriki Han. Now we have almost mastered the information on most of the tailed beasts. Is the three-tail finally going to be resurrected? It's time. Peen stood up, jumped onto the open-air balcony expressionlessly, and walked towards the stairs. No one knows that the reason why he is willing to wait for 3 years is not because of the masked man's order, but because the three tails needs time to revive. Is it going to start now? Xiaonan's face changed slightly. You also know that we haven't investigated clearly where the 8 tails of Kumogakure and the 9 tails of Konoha are hiding. I know. Peen replied, but the 8 tails and the 9 tails are the strongest among the 9-tailed beasts after all. We need to wait until the demon statue seals the first 7-tailed beasts before we can seal them. By that time, the 9-tailed beasts will have been captured. There is no need to worry about anything. Just attack the 2 major ninja villages and capture them. Okay. Zion suddenly seemed to think of something. By the way, the steam ninja Five Tails Jinchuriki Han of the Hidden Rock Village left the Hidden Rock Village for a mission not long ago. Like the Seven Tails Jinchuriki Fu of the Hidden Rock Village, he is traveling outside the ninja village. Once they return to their respective ninja villages, it will not be so easy to catch them. Now is the best time. But that steam ninja is not an ordinary person. He can use a blood limit of the Five Tails boiling release. Leave the Five Tails to Chiya and Yakira. Kakuzu was once a ninja from the Langayan village. The capture of the Seven Tails Jinchuriki can be left to him and hidden. Pin turned around and looked at Konan with a very gloomy look in his eyes. The plan to capture the head of the Seven Tails has officially begun. At the same time, somewhere in a deserted valley, a huge Uchiha fire array stood in it. The earth trembled. The roar was all around, and from time to time there were terrifying explosions from inside. Finally, it was completely broken, and a green blade wind cut through the air, split the earth, and struck the sky like lightning. After a few seconds, it exploded. At this moment, the sky seemed to be torn apart. Is this the power of God? Outside the valley, Yakira, who was wearing a red cloud and black robe, had a graceful figure and a beautiful face, looked up in horror at the terrifying scene in front of him, that seemed like the end of the world, and was speechless. The broken Uchiha fire array gradually disappeared, and a black figure with black hair and a dark green zanpakuto on his waist slowly walked out. Yi Kang immediately went up to him, and handed him the Zyanopo. How is it, Master Kainai, did you succeed? It's not that simple. The black figure smiled bitterly. The person who came was none other than Kainai. 3 years had passed. Kainai's appearance had not changed with the passage of time. Because of the effect of pure gold, he remained at the peak of his appearance at the age of 18. At the same time, his strength became more and more unfathomable. The technique had reached the 9th level more than a year ago, and he was only 1 level away from reaching the highest level of Shaingangju. In terms of physical skills, he not only fully integrated the swordsmanship of the great swordsman in the pirate world, but also turned it into something that belonged to him. His armed color had also been greatly improved. He had already mastered the 4 techniques of hardening, entanglement, external release and internal destruction. In terms of ninjutsu, he was not left behind. In addition to practicing Flying Thunder God to the level of conducting lightning, and learning several sealing techniques and more advanced barriers obtained from the roots, he also tried to fuse the chakras of wind, fire, thunder, water, earth, yin and yang, based on the perfect chakra nature change of all attributes, and developed his own bloodline net, based on the Shaingangju. But it was obvious that it was not as simple as imagined. Without a doubt, he failed again. And the slash that almost split the sky just now was to vent after the failure. But it was not without gain. Before that, he combined his various chakra properties into the Shaingangju, based on the principles of Yi Kang's burning escape and Meditarumi's dissolving escape and boiling escape. He almost learned all the bloodline limits produced by the fusion of 2 chakra nature changes in the original work except wood escape. As for the only bloodline elimination dust escape that appeared in the original work, he did not learn it, because he had not really seen this ninjutsu with his own eyes, without any guidance from anyone, and without any foundation, taking into account various trainings, only 3 years, there was not enough time for him to explore PS. The 3rd update, please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 214 Tail Beast Mission Assignment. In retrospect, you can consider seeing it at the 5Kage conference, or wait for the 2nd generation of Tsuchikage to appear in the Impure World Rebellion, and get the secret of dust release from him. But before that, everything can only wait until later. The 3 years in the Akatsuki organization were the 3 most peaceful years for Kainai. The Akatsuki organization entered a dormant period, and the tasks were no longer as cumbersome as before, with less fighting and killing. In most cases, they were engaged in intelligence gathering. For this, Kainai basically sent a shadow clone to complete it, and he devoted all his time to his own life. In addition to training, he went to Tsunade's room, Mrs. Mikoto's room, Kwan's room, Yi Kang's room, and Yuhi Kyono's room. Occasionally, he would secretly visit the Mizukage and Hinata in the middle of the night. The 2 reacted differently to this. The former, as always, wanted to catch Kainai, tie his 5 limbs, and hang him up to beat him. Although he was taught a lesson by Kainai's 5th limb every time. And the latter, Kainai almost watched him grow up. At the age of 16, she has already reached the level of Mrs. Makoto, Mizukichi, and Yikang, surpassing Kainai's first love, Izumi, and teacher Yuhi. And there is still a trend of growth. Given time, even if she reaches a level of Tsunade, it will not be a problem. I believe that Kainai will succeed. Yikang is full of confidence in Kainai. It's not that simple. I always feel that something is missing. After practicing the Sharingan due to the highest level, maybe I can try again. Kainai took Yikang into his arms, reached into the Zio robe and gently stroked her beautiful back, smiling. But if you can remove the word sir, then I might be more confident. Yikang's pretty face blushed. No, Kainai sir. She rarely disobeyed Kainai's words. Since she and Kainai confirmed their relationship, she has been cared for by Kainai and obeyed Kainai in everything. She is even willing to do various difficult actions. For example, Kainai lingered on her back and touched it from time to time. Although it was a bit shameful, Yikang still enjoyed this feeling. But she seemed unusually persistent in addressing him, because in her heart, the 4 words Lord Kainai distinguished her from all other women in Kainai's life, and only she would call him that. Whatever you want. Kainai did not force it. And at this moment, a pulling force suddenly came from the rings in their hands. Kainai held Yikang and performed Flying Thunder God back to the hotel where they were staying. The 2 of them sat cross-legged on the bed, injected chakra into the chakra ring, and gradually sank into it. It was still the dark cave space, with a Zen lamp placed in the middle. But, including Kainai and Yikang. The members of the Akatsuki organization gathered around the Zen lamp one after another, appearing out of thin air, but they were not the real bodies, but projections. Everyone is here. It's really a long-awaited gathering. But speaking of which, Chief, it's been 3 years. When will our tailed beast capture plan begin? Doing these intelligence work every day is not in line with my art at all. I'm so tired of it. As soon as he appeared, Deidara couldn't wait to complain to Pin. Yeah. Hidden rarely teased Deidara and complained to Deidara dissatisfiedly. Recently, I've been either collecting intelligence or making money with Kakuzu, which has reduced the sacrifices I offer to the evil god. When can I sacrifice those damn Jinchuriki to the great evil god? Shut up, Deidara. Shut up, Hidden. Without waiting for Pin to speak, Sasori and Kakuzu, 2 hard-working members of the Akatsuki organization, scolded their younger brothers. No problem. After looking around, Pin said, that's what I was going to tell you this time. The Akatsuki organization is officially entering the final stage, capturing the tailed beast. Hearing this, everyone's faces became serious, and the scene began to get serious. A total of 11 Akatsuki members had no fear on their faces, but more excitement. Next, I will start assigning tasks. Pin glanced at Deidara and said expressionlessly, first, the 1-tail and the 3-tail will be captured by Deidara and Sasori. Is it finally starting? Deidara smiled and tilted his head to look at Sasori. I remember that the 1-tail was the little Sand village kid who has become the Kazakage. It seems to be from brother Sasori's village. This time it's going to be lively. The last time brother Chiya returned to his village, he turned Konoha upside down and cost the life of the 3rd Hokage in the hands of Orochimaru. Brother Sasori, what do you plan to do this time? Sasori ignored Deidara's voice and looked at Pin. When will it start? Start with the 1-tail. If everything goes well, we can start the action in about a month. During this period, you should prepare well. As for the 3-tail, we have to wait, because the previous 3-tail Jinchuriki died, and it will take some time for it to be fully resurrected. Pin replied. There's still a month. Sasori seemed to be thinking about something. Pin continued. The 2-tails and the 7-tails will be handed over to Kakuzu and Hidden. Originally, I was planning to have you start the action after Sasori and Konoha arrive to capture the 1-tails. After all, the best way to seal the tailed beasts is to follow the order of the tails. But now the 7-tails has just participated in the 2nd Chunin exam held by Sand Village in Konoha, and is on her way back. If you miss this opportunity and let her return to the hidden Tsukushi village, it will inevitably cause trouble for your mission. No problem. Kakuzu, who was always calm, nodded in agreement. Hidden, who relied on his immortal body and didn't know the depths of the world, was a little unhappy. What are you afraid of? At most, you can go to the hidden Tsukushi village to make a scene and snatch the Jinchuriki back. Shut up, Hidden. Be careful or I'll kill you. Kakuzu stared at Hidden with a pair of dark green pupils full of murderous intent. Hidden didn't care at all. You can't do it. If you have the guts, try killing him later. Seeing that the two sides were about to quarrel again, Peen couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed and stop them. Quiet down, Hidden. TSK, Hidden said lightly and shut his mouth. If we talk about the fearless Hidden, who is most afraid of in the Akatsuki organization, then Peen must be one of them. Ever since he learned that the leader Samsurai has the ability to deprive the soul, he dared not contradict the other party. Because although he is immortal, it does not mean that he is really immortal. If he angers the other party and extracts his soul, he will have nowhere to cry. Peen turned his gaze to Kainai and Yikang. The same goes for the Five Tails. Now the Five Tails is carrying out a confidential mission issued by the Iwagakure village. It is the best time to capture it. Kainai and Yikang will capture it. After the meeting is over, I will definitely send the information to you. Just the Five Tails. Kainai shrugged slightly. PS. The fourth update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. Please wait for the fifth update. I'm still writing. Chapter 215 Capturing the Five-Tailed Fox. Among the nine-tailed beasts, the 1, 2, 3, and 7 tails are the weaker ones. The 4, 5, and 6 tails are all the stronger ones. The 8 and 9 tails are the strongest. If you want, I can send you a stronger one. Pain said in a deep voice. That's not necessary. The 5 tails are good enough. Kainai shook his head. He is not a hard worker like Kakuzu. Just catch the 5 tails for your sake. What about us? Kisame asked from the side. Peen said, you and Itachi go to capture the 4 tails, and I will personally capture the 6 tails. As for the 8 tails and the 9 tails, we still don't know where they are hidden by Kumogakure and Konoha. If you get the news during the mission, or if you encounter them, you can act according to the situation and capture them. I see. Kisame showed his jagged white teeth, a dangerous smile on the corner of his mouth, and said, but I'm really looking forward to it. That Jinchuriki with the 4 tails melt release, my Samehada sword is thirsty for it. And Itachi, staring at him with a pair of scarlet Sharingans, never said anything from beginning to end, as if all this had nothing to do with him. Among those present, only Kainai knew that this filial son was already terminally ill. Because of the frequent use of the Mangekyou Sharingan, his vision and health have dropped to a low point, and he can only rely on drugs to barely maintain it, and he is not far from death. Then Chiya, Yikang, Hidden, Kakuzu, you should act as soon as possible. The others should also make preparations. From now on, except for collecting information about the tailed beasts, all other tasks will be temporarily suspended. Peen said expressionlessly. Then after capturing the Jinchuriki, can I go and earn the bounty? Kakuzu asked. As long as you capture the Jinchuriki on time, the organization will not interfere with your personal freedom at other times. After Peen finished speaking, he ended the meeting directly. 3 days later, a forest somewhere on the border between the land of earth and the land of grass. 4 ninjas wearing Iwagakure uniforms, led by a tall 5 tails Jinchuriki Han who was wearing a special fiery red steam armor, jumped between the trees and rushed towards the direction of Iwagakure village. Suddenly, several people saw 2 people appearing in front of them. The 2 people stood between the trees, wearing red blush black robes and wine bell hats, and seemed to be waiting for them. From their body shapes, it can be seen that they are a man and a woman. Stop. Han waved his hand immediately. The 5 people stopped almost at the same time and landed on the ground, 30 meters away from each other. Master Han, the other party seems to be ill-intentioned. What should we do? One of the Iwagakure asked. This outfit. Han narrowed his eyes slightly. It looks like Akatsuki. Akatsuki? The 4 Iwagakure were stunned and immediately reached for their ninja tool bags, looking at each other warily. The people of Iwagakure were not unfamiliar with Akatsuki because the current Tsuchikage of Iwagakure, Ryutan Tsubo Inoki, had secretly hired Akatsuki more than once to achieve military goals at the smallest cost. This is almost an open secret in all countries. Only because of the rule of the third Hokage, Konoha was content with the status quo and immersed in a false peace. It was stupid and unaware. It was not until the fifth Hokage came to power that they became alert. You should be members of Akatsuki. What do you want to do by blocking our way? Han looked at the other party with a vigilant face. The man in the bamboo hat said, nothing, it's just that our leader wants you to visit the Akatsuki base. Not interested, get out of the way. Han clenched his fists, and the steam armor hummed, and hundreds of degrees of high temperature steam came out of the holes on the back. This is not up to you, the man in the bamboo hat said, and his right hand symbolically formed a seal. Only 4 screams of varying lengths were heard. The 4 Ock ninjas behind Han fell to the ground. Han looked back at his companions, who fell to the ground, and his pupils shrank suddenly. How could my companions be easily trapped by the illusion like this? Who are you? Hearing this, the man and woman in red cloud and black robes slowly took off their bamboo hats. Under the man's bamboo hat, there was a young and handsome face, and a scratched Konoha forehead protector. Under the woman's bamboo hat, there was a gorgeous and beautiful face, and a scratched Sand Village forehead protector. Han recognized the identities of the two at a glance. Clan Annihilation Kainai, Scorch Release Yikang. It's an honor to be recognized by the famous steam ninja of Rock Village, so come with us. Or let the 5 tails in your body come with us. Kainai pointed at Han. Originally you wanted the tail beast in my body. Han lowered his head and stroked his abdomen thoughtfully. His eyes suddenly turned cold. Don't even think about it. Steam armor, jet kick. As soon as the voice fell, Han's steam armor was surrounded by a scorching airflow, carrying terrifying strange power and hundreds of degrees of temperature, and kicked at Kainai and the others. Driven by the steam, Han's speed was very fast, but not so fast that Kainai and the others could not avoid it. Yikang retreated and dodged immediately, while Kainai stood still. At the moment when Han's jet kick landed, he raised his left hand slowly. Boom. The ground was cracked in a spider web shape with a radius of dozens of meters around the contact of the two people, and smoke and dust rose up. When the smoke cleared, Kainai grabbed Han's ankle intact. He caught my jet kick in the steam armor with his bare hands. No, even if he caught my jet kick, how could he withstand the hundreds of degrees of high temperature of the steam? Han's pupils dilated, his eyes trembled, and he looked at Kainai in disbelief. It's surprising, right? Your strange power obtained by steam propulsion is far inferior to that of the 5th Hokage of Konoha. Kainai exerted a little force with his left hand, and with a click, the steam armor covering Han's ankle broke instantly. At the same time, his right leg was also broken, and was crushed by Kainai's physique at the level of a pirate swordsman and his strange power far exceeding Tsunade. Han screamed, and Kainai did not give him any chance to resist. His fighting style has always been to take advantage of your illness to kill you. No matter how powerful or weak the enemy is, he will never relax. He clenched his right hand into a fist, with the armed color covering upwards, and swung a punch, hitting Han's chest. Bang, crack. As the sound of metal and bones breaking rang out, the steam armor around Han's body shattered instantly, and the whole person flew backwards like a cannonball. He flew close to the ground for nearly 100 meters, knocking down several ancient trees that one person could hug along the way, and finally hit a towering tree hard, then stopped. He fell from the tree. Wow. After landing, Han covered his chest, bent his body slightly, lay on the ground, and spit out a large mouthful of blood containing internal organs. The whole chest was almost completely sunken, and at least 7 or 8 ribs were broken. Han tried to get up several times, but in the end, because of the serious injuries, his right leg was crushed by Kainai again, and he failed in pain and wailing. PS. The 5th update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 216 Daily Bullying Xiaonan. Being on the verge of despair, the tailed beast and the Jinchuriki reacted. Han's injuries gradually healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Red chakra bubbles emerged from his body, forming a light red translucent chakra coat around his body. Several red chakra tails extended from the coccyx. Seeing that Han was about to complete the transformation of the tailed beast, Kanai fired a fairy version of the Chidori sharp spear and pierced through his chest at the moment when red chakra bubbles appeared on his body surface. A large mouthful of blood suddenly spurted out of Han's mouth. Without the support of the Jinkriki, the tailed beast coat that had just formed quietly dissipated, revealing Han's broken body that had not yet fully recovered. Damn it. Han's consciousness gradually blurred. With strong resentment and hatred for Akatsuki, he uttered the last two words with difficulty, fell to the ground, and fainted. At this time, a huge pitcher plant emerged from the side, and it was the long-lost Zetsu. Black Zetsu sighed in a hoarse voice, "It's really an overwhelming battle." White Zetsu echoed, "As expected, Kainai is super powerful." "Okay, you two old men, stop flattering me here. I know the strength of the tailed beast. If he had just completed the tailed beast transformation, things would not be so easy to solve." Kainai curled his lips and asked casually, "How are Kakuzu and Hidden?" "They are almost done," Black Zetsu replied. "It seems that the seven-tailed girl is probably going to die." Kainai recalled the little girl in the original book who was eager to make friends and had healthy wheat-colored skin, and his face showed a look of regret. Once the tailed beast is extracted from the body, the Jinkriki will definitely die. But then again, Kainai, you are so kind to women, aren't you afraid that your girlfriend will be angry? White Zetsu teased. "Dare you tell?" "Oh no, let me put it another way. Do you dare to approach my girlfriend's place?" Kainai's face sank, and he narrowed his eyes and stared at the other party. White Zetsu was so frightened that he shut up immediately. Black Zetsu changed the subject and said, "Then I will take the Five Tails Jinchuriki with me." After that, Black Zetsu controlled the giant pitcher plant to wrap the Five Tails Jinchuriki, merged into the ground, and disappeared. Yikang came over and pointed at the four-eye Wagakure ninjas on the ground. "Master Kainai, what should we do with these people? They know we are from the Akatsuki organization. Should we kill them?" Kainai shook his head. "No need. Anyway, he didn't see us. Besides, with the pedantic character of the third Tsuchika Jinoki, even if he knew that the Five Tails Jinchuriki was captured by Akatsuki, he would only regard it as a shame. For the face of the so-called five great countries, he would not publicize it. The quota has been completed. Let's go back to the Hidden Rain Village." After that, Kainai picked up Yikang, performed Flying Thunder God, and teleported to Yikang's residence in the Hidden Rain Village. 2 hours later, Kainai returned to the clock tower and was sensed by Nagato at the top of the tower. Paper flowers were flying, and Nagato sent Konan to inquire about the situation. It was also the staircase, but after the last time Kainai kissed her, Xiaonan was much more cautious and didn't dare to get close. Instead, she used paper escape, condensing huge wings like an angel on her back, looking down at Kainai with a cold expression. "Why are you back so early? Where's the Jinkriki?" This was the first sentence Xiaonan said after seeing Kainai. "Come down and talk to me normally, and I'll tell you." Kainai had a sly smile on his face. Xiaonan recalled a forced kiss 3 years ago, and a blush flashed on her pretty face. She added seriously, "This is what Pin asked me to ask. Even if it's Pin, he should respect his companions. After all, equal communication is the most basic courtesy between companions. Unlike you, you are interrogating a prisoner. As if I will eat you." Kainai shrugged slightly. "I warn you, don't mess around. Otherwise, as long as I shout, Pin will rush here immediately." Xiaonan pondered for a while, took a deep breath, and finally chose to compromise, release the paper escape, and landed in front of Kainai. "That's right." Kainai walked slowly towards Xiaonan. Every time he took a step, Xiaonan took a step back subconsciously, and was finally forced into a corner by Kainai, with her whole body pressed against the wall. Feeling the strong masculine scent coming towards her, Xiaonan's eyes instantly flashed with panic and shame, and she trembled and said, "What do you want to do? I warn you, don't mess around. As long as there is any movement here, Pin will come over at any time. Let him come. Anyway, I didn't do anything. I have handed over the Five Tails Jinchuriki to Zetsu. I guessed that guy would be back soon. I was too lazy to hurry, so I performed the reverse summoning technique and brought Yikang back early." Kainai concealed the flying thunder god and stroked Zayanin's face with a smile on his face. He reached into her collar and pulled out the pure gold ring hanging around her neck from her clothes. He smiled and said, "It seems that you still wear it all the time. How is the effect?" "It's okay." Zayanin's face flushed instantly, her eyes dodged, and she didn't dare to look at Kainai. "Keep it." Kainai smiled and put the ring back into her collar. When Zayanin was completely defenseless, he lowered his head and kissed her lips. Feeling the softness and delicacy between her lips, Zayanin's pupils suddenly dilated, and for a moment, she felt her brain go blank. From the neck to the face, the skin was blushed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing that Zayanin did not resist this time, Kainai was immediately happy, feeling that there was a chance, and reached into Zayanopeo. However, it was this move that made Zayanin recover instantly. Then he slapped her. Kainai had no choice but to let go and give up the idea of continuing to the next step. He narrowly avoided Zayanin's jade hand and avoided the end of being slapped in the face. "What are you doing? Even if you don't want to, you don't have to hit people. You are shameless," Zayanin said coquettishly. "How am I shameless? I'm just kissing the woman I like, and you didn't resist." "Kainai's not afraid of boiling water." "You are shameless," Zayanin said, with mist in the corners of her eyes. Seeing this, Kainai knew that Zayanin was really going to be angry this time, and hurriedly apologized. "Sorry, I was wrong." Zayanin ignored Kainai and cast the god's paper technique, turning into countless pieces of paper and disappearing between the stairs. She swore that she would never believe the nonsense of this playboy again, and would not give him the opportunity to get close to her. Iwagakure Village, it's Sachikage building. The third generation Sachikage, Anoki, threw all the cups, bowls, and documents on the table to the ground. 4 ninjas stood in front of him, with their heads lowered, not daring to breathe. They were the 4 Iwagakure Jonin who were killed instantly by Kainai's illusion not long ago. Arsehole, 5 people went out to perform the mission, but only 4 came back. They watched Han being kidnapped by Zaro, and they didn't know the whereabouts of the enemy afterwards. If this gets out, it will be a great shame. Did you all grow up eating shit? Anoki pointed at the waist in front of him and yelled, "PS. First update. Please recommend. Please vote. Please subscribe." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217, Kainai's Perverted Request. It's Sachikage-sama. Those 2 Akatsuki members were too powerful. They used illusion to subdue us and made us unconscious in just a moment. We didn't even have time to cast a seal to remove the illusion. A middle-aged Jonin with a scar on his face explained in a low voice. "Illusion? Akatsuki members?" Hearing this, Anoki fell into deep thought. He knew very well how strong Han, the Five-Tails Jinchuriki, who was known as a steam ninja, was. According to the descriptions of the surviving Jonin, it can be concluded that Han was almost defeated by overwhelming strength, and he didn't even have time to complete his transformation into a tailed beast. Looking at the entire ninja world, someone who could use illusions to instantly defeat 4 Jonin, and at the same time, had the strength to defeat Han, the Five-Tails Jinchuriki. Could it be that Itachi, the exterminator who wiped out the Uchiha clan? Thinking of this, he asked, "Can you confirm their identities? Have you seen the Sharingan?" Scar Jonin shook his head. "We didn't see the Sharingan, because they were wearing hats at the time and we couldn't see their faces clearly. We can only confirm that they are a man and a woman." Waste. Hearing that he didn't even see the other person's face clearly, he came back intact, and Anoki, who was too proud of his reputation, was furious. At this moment, Kurotsuchi, who was still a young and beautiful girl, and had not become a leg shadow in the future, pushed open the door of the office and walked in. "Grandpa, you are angry again." Seeing that it was his granddaughter, Anoki's expression instantly eased a lot. "Why are you messing around here? Get out. Grandpa is talking about business." Kurotsuchi put his slender hands on his waist and pouted. "What business can it be? Isn't it that Uncle Han was captured by Akatsuki? Now it has spread among the Jonin in the village. Now I guess we don't even know who did it. Do you know who it is? Inoki narrowed his eyes and asked solemnly. I don't know about the other female ninja, but I think I should know who the male Akatsuki member who cast the illusion and subdued the Jonin is. Kurotsuchi's silver teeth almost broke as he took out the handbook of rebel ninjas he carried with him from his ninja bag and turned to the knight about Fujiwara Chiya. It's him. Inoki's face suddenly became solemn. He was naturally familiar with this ninja who had once wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, and later turned Konoha upside down in the first joint Chunin exam between Konoha and Sand Ninja, played tricks on the third generation, and tricked Danzo into defecting. Even now, he still has photos of Konoha F4 Carnival purchased from special channels hidden in his drawer. When he learned about what the other party had done, Inoki praised the other party for doing a good job and weakening Konoha's strength for Iwagakure. But he didn't expect that now. He actually started to attack Iwagakure. Yes, Grandpa is this guy. 5 years ago, he also took Deidara brother to make a big fuss near the village. He also, speaking of Chiya, Kurotsuchi was so angry that her teeth were itching. If you were to ask who hated Chiya the most among the people still alive in the entire ninja world, there would be a lot of people. Danzo was one. Konohamaru and Sarutobi Asuma were one, because they were no longer men. Terumi Mei loved and hated Chiya, so she was also half a person. Kurotsuchi was one of them. When she was out on a mission, she met Chiya and was controlled by the other party with an illusion. In the name of looking for artistic inspiration from Deidara, he touched her thigh in front of the latter and said that, even if she became Akatsuki, she would only be Akatsuki. Whenever she thought of Chiya touching her thigh and Deidara, whom she regarded as her brother, watching the show like a lackey, she was so angry that her teeth were itching. What else did he do? Inoki asked with a frown. He also led Deidara brother astray. Now Deidara brother follows him like a lackey. Maybe Deidara brother betrayed the village because of that bastard's instigation. Grandpa, you can't let that bastard go. Kurotsuchi's face flushed instantly. She concealed the fact of the leg shadow. Inoki closed his eyes, thought for a moment, and said, I understand. This matter ends here. We will stop all cooperation with Akatsuki. Yes, this matter ends here. What the hell? Just let it go? Kurotsuchi thought he had heard wrongly. Inoki explained, this guy named Fujiwara Chiya was able to wipe out more than 2,000 ninjas of the Sarutobi clan overnight. His strength is definitely extraordinary. The number of people cannot pose a threat to him. Even if a hunting team is sent, it will only increase the casualties of the village. Otherwise, the old fox Sarutobi Hiruzen would not have indulged him for so many years. And if the outside world knew that our Jinkriki of the Hidden Rock Village was captured by Akatsuki, it would be such a shame. Pass on my order to block the news of Han's abduction. Anyone who dares to leak it will be severely punished. On the other hand, when Kurotsuchi hated Chiya so much, Inoki could do nothing about him. Chiya himself had followed Pain Tendal and Konan to the cave at the base of the Akatsuki organization. Short blue-green hair, an orange hairpin on the right bun, dark skin, and a lovely face. Looking at the dying Seven-Tails Jinkriki Fu lying on the ground, Chiya's mind emerged with the scene of Fu looking for people to make friends everywhere. Just like Bay back then, his bad habit of feeling sorry for girls suddenly broke out, and the long-lost system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Save Fu and be rewarded with a god-level medical ninjutsu. 2. Leave it alone and be rewarded with Nagato's underwear. Please choose Nagato's underwear. Kayanai glanced at Tendo Pain beside him, and his mouth twitched fiercely. What's wrong, Kayanai? Noticing Kayanai's gaze, Pain asked expressionlessly. Nothing, it's just that my soft-heartedness has broken out again. I can't bear to see a girl get hurt. After sealing and extracting the tailed beast, can you give her to me? Kayanai asked lightly. Soft-hearted? Pain was speechless. If he, who had wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, could be soft-hearted, then there would be no evil people in this world. It's up to you, but once the tailed beast is stripped off, the Jinkriki will surely die. When did you become interested in the corpses of powerful ninjas like Scorpion? Upon hearing this, Konan, who was standing aside, frowned and looked at Kainai and asked coldly, "You guy, you are not planning to do anything with this child's corpse?" Kainai had a group of black lines on his forehead, and he tilted his head to look at Pin. "Am I so perverted?" Pin was immediately amused by Kainai's words, and it was rare for him to make a joke. "That's hard to say, forget it. I won't tell you anymore," Kainai said, and walked in front of Fu, and sealed the major acupoints all over her body to ensure that she would not die immediately after the tail beast was stripped off. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 218. The sky cleared up, the rain stopped, and Uzi felt that he was fine again. "What are you doing?" Xiaonan asked curiously. "I'm just sealing the acupuncture points and meridians around her body, so that she won't die immediately after the tail beast is peeled off," Kainai replied. "Even if she survives, it's just like a deadly autumn, a futile act." Pin glanced at Fu and said expressionlessly, "Okay, enough of the idle talk, let's prepare for the sealing ceremony." After that, Pin made seals with both hands, then slapped the ground, and shouted in a low voice, "Spirit summoning technique." Rumble. The ground of the cave suddenly began to shake. Then a huge stone sculpture rose from the ground. This stone sculpture was in the shape of a human, but it had 9 eyes and a very strange posture, as if it was praying. It was the outer shell of the Ten Tails, the outer path demon statue. "Come up," Pin said, jumping onto the thumb of the outer path demon statue's right hand. Kainai and Xiaonan also jumped onto the corresponding positions of their rings and stood on the fingers of the outer path demon statue. Pin made seals with his right hand and injected chakra into the ring, and there was an immediate response. Bus, bus, bus. All the other members of Akatsuki appeared out of thin air on the fingers of the corresponding golems, but they were not the real ones, but the projections of the phantom body technique. All the members of Akatsuki formed seals at the same time and roared, "Phantom Dragon 9 seals. 0, blue white red black, sky, south, north, 3, jade." These 10 words lit up on the corresponding fingers of the golems at the same time. With a buzzing sound, the mouth of the outer path golem opened, and a beam of light came out of its mouth, surrounding the 2 Chiyuriki on the ground, and making them float in the air. Then red chakra bubbles were seen pouring out of the eyes and mouths of the 2 people, and these bubbles slowly floated into the mouth of the golem. Because we are sealing 2 tailed beasts at the same time, even if there are 10 people, the seal will need to last for 5 days. Pain maintained the posture of making hand seals, and said to everyone, work hard, the seal will be over soon. Oh, I really envy Mr. Kainai's partner. I don't have to participate in the seal. I should have joined the organization last. Kisame looked around, and saw that Ji Kang was not there, so he couldn't help but envy. Beisetsu smiled and said, "You can't envy this. Kainai is very caring towards his female compatriots." It seems that Ji Kang was not allowed to participate in the capture of the 5-tailed beast this time. He just let her watch from the side. I boldly guess that there must be something between them. Before it could finish speaking, Kainai glared and threatened, "Beisetsu, if you feel bored, do you need me to loosen your muscles next time and turn you into the second Orochimaru?" Don't hearing this, Beisetsu quickly shut his mouth. Although his vitality and self-healing ability are very strong, he can't resist Kainai's ability. "Shut up, White Zetsu." Black Zetsu scolded. "This guy's really capable of killing their Zetsu." In a dark and airtight laboratory, candlelight flickered, and on the huge experimental table were various test equipment and drugs. Since the end of the Konoha collapse plan, Orochimaru has been sending people to keep an eye on the movements of the Akatsuki organization. At this moment, Kabuto Yakushi was reporting to him. "Lord Orochimaru, I just received news not long ago that the Akatsuki organization has finally started to act. A week ago, the Steam Ninja 5 Tails Jinchuriki of Iwagakure was captured at the border of the Land of Earth. At the same time, the 7 Tails Jinchuriki of Langayan Village disappeared after participating in the second Chunin exam jointly held by Sand Village in Konoha, and as expected, he also fell into the hands of the Akatsuki organization. Do you know who did it?" Orochimaru sat on a stone chair, holding his chin with his right hand, and asked with interest. The Seven Tails Jinchuriki cannot be confirmed, but there is a high probability that it was Kakuzu and his partner hidden from the Langayan village who did it. As for the Five Tails Jinchuriki, he must be the one you are most familiar with among the many members of the Akatsuki organization. Kabuto Yakushi turned around and stroked the frame of his glasses. Fujiwara Chiya. Orochimaru suddenly opened his eyes wide, and his golden vertical pupils burst out with undisguised murderous intent. Orochimaru was furious when Fujiwara Chiya was killed in advance. 3 years ago, this guy not only betrayed his hands, but also violated his agreement with Sasuke not to interfere with him, and extended the deadline for Sasuke's defection, resulting in him enduring the pain of burning arms for a month. But his efforts were in vain, and he eventually did not make it to Sasuke's arrival, and was forced to reincarnate in advance again. Kabuto nodded. Yes, that's him, but he is as powerful as ever. The sand-aimed Tsuchikage who had the bloody elimination didn't even send out a symbolic rescue team after learning that the Five Tails Jinchuriki was captured. Not only that, but he also completely blocked the news. Now I'm afraid that the other 4 of the 5 major countries don't know the information that the tailed beasts have been captured. Orochimaru smiled evilly. Of course, even if a rescue team is sent, it will only increase casualties when facing Chiya-kun. But Inoki's pedantry is really beyond my expectation. He didn't even want to spread the news that his own Jinchuriki was captured. Is he worried that it will bring shame to the Iwagakure village? Well, it doesn't matter, as long as they don't come to interfere with me. While the two were talking, the door of the laboratory was opened, and a young man walked in. It was the second pillar 3 years later. 3 years have passed, and the second pillar has obviously grown taller. He is wearing a pure white kimono and dark blue pants. On the back of the kimono is a small Uchiha clan emblem. Dark grey arm guards cover his forearms and extend to his palms. A purple rope belt is tied around his waistcloth, and a Kusanagi sword is inserted. Compared to 3 years ago, Nejiro's strength has improved by leaps and bounds, but at the same time, he has become more and more cruel, giving people a cold feeling all over his body, which makes people feel chilled. Did you go to look for corpses again? Nejiro frowned and looked at Kabuto Yakushi with contempt in his eyes, and he did not hide it. He smelled the smell of corpses from Kabuto. TSK Kabuto's face suddenly became ugly, avoiding Sasuke's gaze, and lightly tutted. Then he seemed to think of something, and a sly smile appeared on his face. There is a piece of news that may be of interest to you. Speak. Nejiro used a commanding tone. Kabuto gloated. The man who defeated you 3 years ago after only teaching the 5th Hokage's daughter for half a month has just captured the Five Tails Jinchuriki. Now the Akatsuki organization is expected to face Uzumaki Naruto, who is also a Jinchuriki. Fujiwara Chiya. This time it was the second pillar's turn to look ugly. Losing to a 4-year-old girl in 3 years could be said to be the shame of his life. It was a pain that he could never erase after the Uchiha clan was exterminated. For this reason, he has been training himself like crazy for the past 3 years. And this pain was exactly what Chiya gave him. I will kill him sooner or later. If you can do it, but this is something that even your brother Uchiha Itachi can't do. Kabuto still had a smile on his face. For the first time in 3 years, he had the upper hand in the conflict with Sasuke. For a moment, he felt extremely happy. PS. The third update. Chapter 219 The seal ends. Do you want to try? Nejima laughed in anger, with a dangerous smile on his face. He opened his 3 Magatama Sharingan and glared at Kabuto, while his right hand slowly reached for the Kusanagi sword at his waist. Due to the influence of Orochimaru and his own efforts, Sasuke has completely mastered the power of controlling the curse seal, and his pupil power is incomparable. Kabuto looked into his eyes and felt as if he was falling into an abyss. He couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Seeing that Nejima was about to attack, Orochimaru stopped him in time. Okay Sasuke, don't do this. Starting today, I will give you special training. Wait for me in the training ground. Remember your attitude towards me. You are not always so lucky. Hearing that Orochimaru was going to teach him something new, Sasuke stopped, glanced at Kabuto with contempt, turned around and walked outside with Orochimaru. Don't mind Kabuto. You are my most trusted subordinate. Thank you for your hard work. Orochimaru patted Kabuto on the shoulder and walked in the direction where Sasuke left. Yes. Only Kabuto stood there with a gloomy face. 5 days later. Rain Village. In the cave of Akatsuki's base. The seal of the tailed beast has reached its final moment. Han, who was the first to absorb the power of the tailed beast, has died and fell to the ground. Fu is also on the verge of death, with very weak vitality, almost dying. It's almost over. Pin said, everyone, hold on a little longer. The sealing ceremony is really boring. Fortunately, it only takes 5 days, which is not too long. HMM. Hearing this, Deidara immediately complained and said weakly, but then again, leader, you can improve this sealing ceremony. It's too time consuming. HMM. Pin ignored Deidara. Scorpion, how are your preparations? It's almost ready. Scorpion replied, still using the voice of Hiruko, hoarse and low, making it hard to imagine that there is a beautiful boy living inside. Pin said, that's good. After the sealing ceremony is over, you and Deidara will rest here for 3 days, and then rush to the Sand Village, to prepare and implement the one-tail capture plan. When the one-tail was mentioned, Deidara instantly became motivated. Leave the one-tail Jinchuriki to me, leader. I will use my art to deal with him. Deidara, your opponent is not only the one-tail Jinchuriki, but also the 5th Kazekage in the entire Sand Village. If you are not well prepared, you will die. Scorpion looked at Deidara. Kanai said on the side, in that case, I'll go and join in the fun. Anyway, I'm free. As soon as these words came out, the scene suddenly became serious, and all the Akatsuki members looked at Kanai in surprise. Did the sun rise from the west today? Kanai, who always used shadow clones to perfunctorily do tasks, actually took the initiative to join such a troublesome task. Hey, brother Kanai, didn't you just complete your quota? Why are you trying to steal mine? Hearing Kanai's words, Deidara was a little unhappy. The exciting battle process of capturing the tailed beasts was quite in line with the pursuit of artists. He didn't want to see Kanai chop down the target as soon as he came. How could he pursue art in that case? Kanai patiently explained, don't worry, I won't interfere with your tasks. In the past, I dealt with tasks just because those intelligence collecting tasks were too boring, but this time it's different. Zyodi and that Kazekage's abilities are quite entertaining. I'm sure you know that I like to join in the fun. Famous battle scenes like this can't be missed. As expected of brother Kanai, you really have a unique insight into art. Huh. Deidara thought that Kanai's ideas coincided with his. He also liked the exciting battle of capturing the tailed beasts. He just said that it was entertaining, but he didn't say that the art of a moment is the most beautiful. When it comes to art, only eternity is the true meaning. Scorpion said disdainfully. Hey, brother Scorpion, you're trying to ruin my show, aren't you? Deidara looked at Scorpion's projection with dissatisfaction. Seeing that the two sides were about to quarrel, Pin spoke up in time to stop them. Be quiet, Deidara. And Scorpion, you should also say less. TSK hearing this, Scorpion and Deidara both tutted at the same time, turned their heads away in a very arrogant manner, and no longer looked at each other. Then Kanai, you go with them this time. Just in case, if Deidara fails, you can take action to capture him. Pin looked at Kanai. No problem, I think as long as Zyodi is well prepared and doesn't lose his composure because others despise his art, I think there should be no problem. Kanai nodded. You really analyzed this guy's weakness clearly. This time it was Kisame who spoke, and he began to expose Deidara's shortcomings. I know that Deidara always loses his mind when he feels that his art is destroyed and despised. Just like when I invited him to join the Akatsuki organization, he was controlled by Itachi Sharingan. He almost blew himself up. As soon as these words came out, Deidara immediately exploded. Asshole, are you questioning my art? Yeah. Look, what did I just say? Kisame ignored Deidara, but pointed at the members of the Akatsuki organization, and made a teasing sound. Asshole, be careful or I will blow you up. Deidara ordered Kisame. Boom. The golem suddenly trembled violently. Feeling the golem trembling, Scorpion thought it was Deidara who did it, and quickly scolded. Calm down, Deidara, don't affect the seal. I didn't do anything. Deidara also felt the abnormality of the golem and said innocently, "No, this is not Deidara's doing, but the golem has reached its limit." Pin finally spoke, his face solemn. "It seems that I was a little too hasty. Originally, the tailed beasts were to be sealed in order of their tails, but this is the best time to capture the 5 tails and the 7 tails, so I was a little hasty." Hearing this, Black Zetsu felt a little scared. If the golem collapsed, its mother would not be able to revive. Immediately, he pretended to be calm and said, "Leader, it seems that we must seal them in order of their tails in the future. Otherwise the tailed beast chakra in the golem is likely to lose balance and collapse." Pin nodded in agreement. Looking around, he said in a deep voice, "Kisame, Itachi, Kakuzu, and Hidden, your actions to capture the tailed beasts will be temporarily suspended. After sealing the first tail, you can capture them in order of their tails." While speaking, the 7 tails was also sealed. The beam of light from the mouth of the outer path golem was swallowed into its stomach along with the last wisp of the tailed beast chakra. All members of the Akatsuki organization stopped making hand seals at the same time. Fu, who had become the former Jinkriki, lost her traction and fell straight to the ground. Just as she was about to fall, a dark shadow suddenly appeared and caught her. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 220. Contempt from the Akatsuki members. Everyone looked at the ground in surprise, only to see Kainai holding the exhausted Fu and landing on the ground. "Hey, Kainai, when did you become interested in the corpses of ninjas like Brother Scorpion?" Deidara looked incredulous. Scorpion added, "I'm not interested in the corpses of weaklings." Kainai took out a senzu bean that he had prepared long ago from his sleeve and stuffed it into Fu's mouth, then symbolically made a seal and put it into the system warehouse, thinking to himself that whether you can survive depends on your luck. Seeing that Kainai actually put the corpse away, Zyudanen's eyes immediately revealed a resentful emotion and scolded, "Hey, you guy, you are not really going to do anything to this child's corpse, are you? Am I that perverted?" Kainai looked around, and finally his eyes fell on Zyudanen, and he rolled his eyes at her. At the same time, the system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Mission completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the god level medical ninjutsu. Suddenly, Kainai's mind instantly had countless knowledge about medical ninjutsu. Instantly, Kainai seemed to have discovered the mystery of the human body, and a feeling of sudden enlightenment suddenly arose in his heart. He found that the bloodline development that had been stagnant before seemed to have a new direction. For example, the bloodline of dust release was eliminated. Next, it seemed that he only needed to know how to make a seal to perform it. Yes. A rare evil smile appeared on Konon's face. After hearing this, except for Kakuzu who was beaten by Kainai and Uchiha Itachi, the sickly man, all the others nodded in agreement. In the Akatsuki organization, each combination has its own corresponding characteristics. For example, Deidara and Sasori represent art, so they can be called the artistic duo. Hidden and Kakuzu are called the immortal duo. Kisame and Itachi are famous for slaughtering their companions, the power combination. Pin and Konan call themselves gods and angels, the god's messenger combination. Zetsu and Obito, who are hiding in the dark, those who are familiar with Naruto, can be called the behind the scenes combination. Kainai is an outlier in the Akatsuki organization. Many people in Akatsuki suspected that he and Jikang had an affair. Kainai had no faith at all, at least on the surface. At the same time, Kainai was the only one in Akatsuki who was close to women. He had a child at the age of 14, which was the best proof. In addition, he gave Konoha ref for a I love a piece of wood and picked the bells of Sarutobi heroes and son and grandson. Inevitably, the other party had no other hobbies. After all, the Seven Tails Jinchuriki was also a little beauty, right? Deidara projected a thumbs up to Kainai and said with a smile, "It's okay, brother Kainai, I support you. After all, art is a fleeting beauty. I think the girl just now seems to be not dead yet. It seems not bad to taste the taste of a dying person occasionally." Kainai's forehead had a black line, and he said in a deep voice, "Deidara, do you know how to speak? If you can't, just shut up. Be careful that I will take off your bell next time we meet, and you will end up like Sarutobi heroes and son." Hearing this, Deidara hurriedly shut his mouth and subconsciously covered his bell. Although he was devoted to pursuing art and was not very interested in women, he definitely didn't want to become a eunuch. He still had to keep his bell for peeing. Seeing Deidara's funny look of covering his crotch, the faces of the members of the Akatsuki organization all had black lines, and Conan's face was even red, and even a layer of pink was smeared on his neck. Fortunately, she was a projection in the eyes of the Akatsuki members, except Kainai and Pin. Otherwise she would have made a fool of herself. Okay, enough gossip. Pin interrupted the two people's playfulness and said in a deep voice, Scorpion, Deidara, and Kainai, I will use the phantom body at the core Kyuubi base to remotely summon the outer path golem. After the one tail is successfully captured, you will take the Jinchuriki there to perform the sealing ceremony. You will have a hard time next. Disperse. After saying that, Pin took Xyanin and jumped off the golem, landed on the ground, and released the phantom body. The projections of all Akatsuki members disappeared on the golem's fingers one after another. The golem sank into the ground. The huge stone at the entrance of the cave slowly opened, and the dazzling sunlight shone into the cave, making it impossible to open your eyes. As a corpse, Tendalpin was not afraid of the dazzling sunlight. He slowly walked out of the cave and said to Kainai with his back, Kainai, deal with the body of the former five-tailed Jinchuriki. Why me? Isn't that guy Zetsu very good at this? Kainai looked dissatisfied, and he didn't have necrophilia. You definitely need to go to the Konoha Kyuubi base to set up the barrier in advance. Pin slowed down his pace slightly, and a hint of evil interest appeared at the corner of his mouth. Besides, you should be a soft-hearted person. Since you have collected the body of the Seven Tails Jinchuriki, I think you should not mind collecting the body of the Five Tails Jinchuriki. Xyanin covered her face with a sly smile and said gloatingly, Pin is right. Kainai, then the body of the Jinchuriki will be in your hands from now on. After saying that, Xyanin seemed to be afraid that Kainai would touch his opponent again, and hurriedly followed Pin's pace, not giving Kainai a chance. Looking at Xyanin's figure going away, Kainai's mouth twitched fiercely, and he secretly swore in his heart that, as long as he got the chance in the future, he would strip this woman naked, hang her up and beat her, and let her call him daddy. When Kainai returned to his residence, it was noon. Mrs. Makoto seemed to know that Kainai would come back, and prepared a table full of delicious meals in advance. This made Kainai, who had been hungry for a long time, have a great appetite. He picked up the chopsticks and took a bite of food without washing his hands. After completing a morning of practice, Kwan, who loves cleanliness, was taking a daily bath in the bathroom. What day is today? The lunch is so rich. Kainai put down his chopsticks and took off his Akatsuki robe under the care of Mrs. Makoto. Dad, you forgot that today is the 6th anniversary of your mom and Aunt Kwan. Kainai came over playfully holding the wedding photo of Kainai, Makoto and Kwan. On the wedding dress, Mrs. Makoto was holding a baby, which was Kainai in her infancy. So that's it. Kainai suddenly realized and looked at the photo thoughtfully. His mind was immersed in memories. Kainai asked Xyanin to help organize this wedding. The wedding arrangement was very simple. There was only Xyanin as the witness. As for the wedding photos, Kainai said hello to Xyanin and secretly took his wife and children out to take them. Now, he doesn't even need to say hello. He has set up various barriers obtained from the root organization base in his room, which can completely detect the sound, smell and even chakra of the next door. Even Nagato can't detect it. This has led to Kainai often taking his wife and children to travel around in the past 3 years. He even took them back to Konoha several times. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 221 Wedding Anniversary with Mrs. Makoto. During the day, I accompanied Mrs. Makoto, Izumi, and Chika. In the first half of the night, I went to see Tsunade and Chinatsu. In the second half of the night, I saw teacher Kyuubi. In the early morning, I saw little Hinata and watched her grow up day by day. The time was arranged properly. Whenever Kainai recalled this thrilling and exciting scene, he had endless aftertastes. Dad, can you take us out to play today? Kainai blinked her cute big eyes, and her black eyes showed expectation. Because in the past 3 years, Kainai would take them out to play almost every month. Now it has been almost a month since the last time. I'm afraid it's not possible now. Kainai shook his head apologetically, picked up Kainha, and smiled. Next, Dad will go out to perform a mission. Can you study hard at home with Mom and Aunt Izumi? But Dad, I have learned all the ninja school knowledge that Mom and Aunt Izumi taught me. I also learned the Great Fireball and Shadow Clone. Chiya is a genius who is not inferior to Chinatsu. Except for not opening the Sharingan and observation haki, she can almost keep pace with Chinatsu in other aspects. The reason why she only knew a few simple ninjutsu was because Chika was still young, and Kainai was worried that she would hurt him by mistake, so he didn't teach her specifically. As for Chinatsu, because she had the observation haki and Sharingan, Kainai didn't interfere too much. But soon Ed was in charge of her training, and she was basically left alone. Her current strength, excluding the Mirror Flower and Water Moon, is only stronger than when she was the same age in the ninja school. After putting Kainai's clothes away, Mikin, who was busy in the kitchen, heard that Kainai was going out for another mission, and couldn't help showing a worried look. Will you encounter danger? Kainai gently stroked his daughter's cute little head, put her down gently, walked to the kitchen, and hugged Mikin from behind to help her. Don't worry, you know my abilities. How about testing it later? You're so frivolous. Mikin's pretty face turned red, and she gave Kainai a coquettish look, worried that he would say something lewd again, or move his hands, and lead the child astray, so she quickly changed the subject. Okay, go take a shower quickly, the meal will be ready in a while, and you must have sweated a lot, since you haven't taken a shower for such a long time. Sweat. Kainai sniffed, but couldn't smell anything at all, because he had been in the cave for the past 5 days and he hadn't sweated at all. Then, she seemed to have thought of something, and looked towards the bathroom with ill intentions. You're right, I do smell of sweat, I'll go wash it now. You prepare some clothes for me to change. Kainai said, and ran away, not giving Mrs. Mikoto time to react. Hey, wait, Izumi is still in there. Mrs. Mikoto came to her senses, and felt that something was wrong, but it was too late. A moment later, Izumi's screaming beautiful music sounded in the bathroom. Mom, what are Dad and Aunt Izumi doing? Why are you screaming while taking a bath? Kainha looked at the bathroom and looked at her mother with a blank face. Nothing, I guess the soap fell on the ground. Mrs. Mikoto blushed, perfunctorily told her daughter, and quickly made seals with both hands. The red hail of the talisman attached to the bathroom door flashed away. The next moment, the music in the bathroom stopped abruptly. The barrier was activated. The room returned to peace again. When Kainai and Izumi walked out of the bathroom, it was already half an hour later. Kwan's face was red, and even his neck was red, while Kainai showed a look of enjoyment, and the two sat down. As expected, the awkward atmosphere did not appear. Obviously, this was not the first time such a thing happened. The family of four tacitly did not mention what happened just now, and enjoyed the long-lost reunion time. The next day, Kainai went to the Sand Village. Considering that Li Kang was born in the Sand Village, and this time he was going to attack her village, Kainai did not take her there. Before going to the Sand Village, Kainai made a detour to the place where Kakuzu hidden captured the Seven Tails Jinchuriki, and released Fu. In the world of the system warehouse, time and space are absolutely prohibited. After releasing Fu, the Senzu beams finally began to work. Kainai immediately untied the acupuncture points on Fu's body. Fu leaned against the tree trunk with her eyes closed, and her almost pale, bloodless face seemed to be rapidly recovering its rosy color. On the side, Kainai couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw her change like this. Although the Senzu beams can't cure diseases, they can restore all injuries and energy. In the final analysis, the reason why the Jinchuriki died was because the chakra in his body was drained together during the process of stripping the tailed beast. As long as he took the Senzu beams before the Jinchuriki died and restored his chakra instantly, he could still survive. After a while, Fu's beautiful eyes trembled slightly and finally struggled to open them slowly. Suddenly, the dazzling sunlight in the sky made her squint slightly again. Am I dead? This was the first sentence Fu said after waking up. Yes, I'm dead, but I'm alive again. Kainai's leisurely and faint laughter sounded in Fu's ears. Fu raised her head slightly, looked at the smiling Kainai on the side, hesitated for a while, and said, who are you? Who am I? You can know if you take a closer look yourself. Kainai didn't answer directly. Instead, he smiled. Fu nodded. She looked up and down again, and when she saw Kainai wearing the same red cloud and black robe as Kakuzu and Hidden, she recalled the scene of herself being cursed by Hidden, and the scene of vaguely seeing Kainai when the tail beast was peeled off. She was afraid and puzzled, and asked with a serious face, "You should be in the same group with Kakuzu Sr. Why did you save me?" "You can think of it as a matter of interest. If you were a greasy uncle, I'm afraid I wouldn't save you," Kainai said calmly. "Then are you going to make friends with me?" Hearing this, Fu's eyes lit up obviously, and she was not afraid. She stepped forward and held Kainai's hand. Kainai said, "Well, you can think so. But considering that your tail beast has been taken away, at the same time, you also know a lot of information about our organization, so before letting you go back to the village, I will delete your memory of this period. I hope you are ready." "Why is this the case? I finally made a friend. Can't I do this?" Fu shrugged and pulled Kainai's arm, saying pitifully. Kainai thought for a moment and said, "Then 1 year is fine. I will set up an illusion for you. After 1 year, your memory will be restored. Then we can be friends again." By then, the 4th Ninja World War would have ended, and it didn't matter whether Fu knew about it or not. "Can it be shorter?" Fu started to negotiate. "No." Kainai refused decisively. Without giving the other party a chance to react, his right eye suddenly opened, revealing a Scholar 3 Magatama Sharingan, deleting and rewriting Fu's memory during this period. In Fu's memory, she was just attacked by an unknown enemy, and she didn't remember anything else. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 222 Konoha Little Demon King Chinatsu. Konoha Village. It was noon, and the sun was scorching. A cat and 3 people were running through the jungle. "Where are you running to?" "Stop right there. Catch them." 2 men and 1 woman. To be more precise, 1 man, 1 woman, half man and half woman. 3 young people about 12 or 13 years old were racing rapidly and finally came to the downtown area. The target was a cat with a bow on its head. Wherever they passed, there was a mess. The clothes drying rack, the fruit stall, Ichiraku who was about to go out to deliver food, etc., all fell to the ground. They attracted a lot of curses from behind. Finally, they blocked the cat in a dead end. The 3 little cats grinned hoarsely. "Lost pet tiger, we caught you," the half man and half woman young man said in an androgynous voice. "Great, Konohamaru, we finally caught him," the yellow-haired girl with 2 pigtails said. The last one was a boy wearing a pair of big glasses and snot on his face. He raised his hand and pointed at the cat. "Go, Konohamaru. Moji and I will stop him for you. Don't let Zaohu run away." These 3 people are Sarutobi Konohamaru and his 2 teammates, Moji and Isyuden, 3 die-hard fans of Naruto. 3 years have passed, and they have finally graduated from the ninja school and become genin. Let's not talk about Moji and Isyuden, who look the same as in the original. But Konohamaru has changed a lot. Although his strength is not much different from the original, because he was castrated by Kainai since he was a child, his clothes gradually tend to be female, giving people a feeling of androgynous. At the same time, influenced by Naruto, plus the care of Ebisu and the 3rd generation, since he was a child, and because he was not abducted by people like Orochimaru. Although he still hates Kainai, he has not completely stepped into the darkness like the 2nd pillar. It's just that his personality is a little twisted, like a shemale. "Yoshi, leave it to me," Konohamaru shouted and pounced on the cat. 1 person and 1 cat fought together. Finally, the cat was hugged from behind by Konohamaru, and Konohamaru won a short victory. "Success," Konohamaru said excitedly, while holding the cat. "There is a bow on the right ear. There is no mistake." Yuden sniffed his nose. "Teacher Ebisu, the target lost pet tiger has been caught." Meng Huang pressed the intercom hanging next to his ear and reported the results to the leader Teacher Ebisu remotely. However, before they could be happy for long, the cat held in Konohamaru's arms suddenly struggled violently, scratching Konohamaru's face, and finally bit Konohamaru's arm. Konohamaru felt the pain and let go of his hands, and the cat ran away. Oh no, the lost tiger has escaped. Seeing that the cat was about to escape from the alley, Konohamaru and the other two had to regroup and chase it. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, a cold light flashed, accompanied by the sound of a sharp blade cutting through the air. 3 kunai were nailed in front of the cat, on the left and right. The cat was frightened, and stood still in place, trembling and not daring to move. This is Moji, Yuden and Konohamaru were shocked. Then footsteps sounded from outside the alley, and a girl with a good figure slowly walked over. Perhaps because the girl was backlit, or because the girl was too tall and dazzling, Konohamaru was slightly dazzled by the dazzling light and couldn't help but squint his eyes. When the girl came closer, they finally looked at each other. She was wearing a blue women's stand-up collar dress. It protected her snow white and slender neck. With the Konoha forehead guard tied around her neck, she looked cold and aloof. Her blonde hair reached her waist, and the soft blonde hair had no accessories, which was very clean. Exquisite facial features, thin lips, curved eyebrows, and a pair of bright brown cold eyes were clear and transparent, without a trace of impurities, like an elf without any flaws. Just like a person in a painting, it is hard to imagine how stunning she will be when she grows up. This girl is none other than Shinatsu when she grows up. Like Konohamaru and others, she also graduated from the ninja school, but the difference is that it only took her 1 year to graduate, becoming the second person after Uchiha Itachi to graduate from the ninja school in just 1 year. This is the result of Tsunade's mandatory requirement. Although Shinatsu's strength is far beyond that of ordinary ninjas under the unreserved teaching of Kainai and Tsunade, but Tsunade is the Hokage after all, and cannot use public power for personal gain. Moreover, both Tsunade and Kainai hope that their daughter can have a good childhood. As a result, Shinatsu beat up everyone in the ninja school, from teachers to students of the same grade. In the end, it caused strong protests from all the teachers and students of the ninja school. At the new graduation ceremony, she had to take the Genin exam and graduate early. It's the daughter of the 5th Hokage, the former Demon King Chihiro of the ninja school. Seeing the girl's face clearly, Moji and Juden were immediately frightened and screamed, trembling and hugging each other, curling up in the corner of the alley. It was obvious that they were also one of the people beaten by Chihiro. Konohamaru stared at Chihiro, but his pale face, clenched teeth, and clenched fists all exposed his fear and unwillingness. He, Konohamaru, is the grandson of the 3rd Hokage, and is determined to kill the most vicious criminal in Konoha, the S-class rebel Fujiwara Chiya. Now, when facing a little girl 5 years younger than him, he is timid, and can't beat her. How can he be willing to accept this? You are really weak. Chihiro glanced at the Konohamaru Sennin lightly, picked up the cat, and turned to leave. Konohamaru's voice suddenly rang out from behind, and he raised his hand angrily and pointed at Shinatsu. Hey, we caught him. But didn't he escape from you? Shinatsu turned around, and a harmless smile appeared on her cold little face. Teacher Ebisu said that whoever catches Zao who first will complete the mission first. Or, do you want to snatch him from me? Her voice was very pleasant, and it made people feel that their souls were cleansed. But to Moji, Yuden, and Konohamaru, these were undoubtedly the devil's propaganda. Especially the harmless smile on her face. Every time it came, it meant that Shinatsu was going to beat someone up. And they guessed right, because Shinatsu was in a bad mood at the moment. Very and extremely bad, because Kainai hadn't come back to see her for more than a month. She was eager to beat someone up to vent her anger. And Konohamaru, who hated her father, was the first choice. This was also the main reason why she joined in on the boring mission. Hey, Konohamaru, forget it. Moji and Juden whispered, pulling Konohamaru's shoulders, signaling him not to be stubborn. Once you anger the little devil Chihiro, you can't escape a beating. PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 223 Tsunade's helplessness. Konohamaru nodded slightly and swallowed hard. Just when he wanted to follow his companion's advice, Chihiro's voice rang in his ear again. You are not a man. The target of the mission was taken away, and he dared not say a word. Konohamaru couldn't stand being told that he was not a man. He was furious, and rushed towards Chihiro in an instant, trying to take the cat back. The result is self-evident. He was beaten up by Chihiro for the 63rd time. 10 minutes later, in the Hokage's office. Konohamaru, with a pig head, stood with his teammates Moji and Juden. On the other side stood Chiharu, who was in a good mood and smiling. Ebisu stood between the two parties with a helpless look on his face. He was the grandson of the 3rd Hokage and the daughter of the 5th Hokage. He couldn't afford to offend either side. As a special jonin, it was difficult for him. Next to the Hokage's desk, the lost cat Zyro, who was held in the arms of a fat lady with tears in his eyes. Tsunade, the Hokage, sat behind the desk, looking at the 6 people, and was speechless. Thank you so much, Chinatsu. You are indeed the daughter of the 5th Hokage. It was right to ask you for help. You helped me find Tiger in less than 10 minutes. The fat lady praised Chinatsu. Auntie, as a Konoha ninja, this is my duty, Chinatsu said politely. There was no coldness or cruelty just now. How could this fat lady know that during the 10 minutes that Chinatsu spent to find the cat for him, most of the time was spent beating Konohamaru? Auntie, you are really a polite little girl. Then, Lord Hokage, this is the reward. Tiger-chan, let's go home. The fat lady smiled, seeming to be very satisfied with Chinatsu's address, left a purse, and turned to walk out of the Hokage's office with the cat in her arms. This is the reward for your mission. Come and collect it. Tsunade rolled her eyes at her smiling daughter and tilted her head to look at Konohamaru and the other two. Konohamaru and the other two looked at each other. Mohuang pointed at herself in disbelief and asked Tsunade, Tsunade-sama, is it for us? Of course, this D-rank mission to find the cat is assigned to you. Tsunade nodded. But we didn't catch the lost cat. Yuden sniffed. Tsunade stood up and sighed helplessly. I know what kind of temper Chinatsu has. My daughter has caused trouble for you. Here, I want her to apologize to you. Hurry, Chinatsu, apologize to Konohamaru and the others. This is what Tsunade said to Chinatsu. In this regard, Chinatsu naturally refused. Although she knew her mother's good intentions through mind reading, how could she apologize to someone who hated her father? So she had long been thinking of excuses to change the subject. At this moment, Chinatsu suddenly felt that 2 familiar powerful chakras were approaching the village. She couldn't help but smile and uttered 3 words lightly. Back. What's back? Everyone looked at Chinatsu curiously. Uncle Jiraiya and Naruto are back. They are at the entrance of the village, Chinatsu said seriously. Instantly, the huge Hokage office was in an uproar. Everyone's face showed shock. They were not only shocked that Naruto and Jiraiya came back, but more shocked at how Chinatsu knew about it. Tsunade knew her daughter's character and did not force it. She took the opportunity to avoid the topic and explained to everyone, Chinatsu is a perception type ninja. She is born with perception. She can sense chakra. It seems that Naruto and Jiraiya are really back. Hearing this, Ebisu suddenly realized. Konohamaru, Moji, and Yuden, 3 die-hard fans of Naruto, were so excited that they jumped out of the office window before they even had time to collect the mission reward. They rushed to the village in trance, and while walking, they did not forget to inform passers-by and shouted in unison, Brother Naruto is back. Hey, you guys. Seeing the 3 students running like rabbits without saying hello to the Hokage, Ebisu was exhausted and hurriedly apologized for Konohamaru and the other 2. Tsunade naturally didn't care about this. After collecting the mission reward for Konohamaru and the others, she walked out of the Hokage's office. In the end, only Tsunade and Chinatsu were left in the office. The 2 looked at each other, and Tsunade wanted to blame her, but Chinatsu appeared behind her in an instant, pinching her shoulders and acting coquettishly, which made Tsunade lose her temper instantly. Well, Mom, you are not angry anymore. Chinatsu blinked and said playfully. Tsunade nodded subconsciously, but out of mother's dignity, she immediately changed to a questioning tone. Tell me, why do you always pick on Konohamaru? Because of my father. Chinatsu stopped massaging and said seriously. That guy. Tsunade felt a headache when she thought of the grudge between her little man and the Sarutobi family. Sarutobi Mirai was better, kind by nature, and never wanted revenge. But Konohamaru and that Sarutobi Asuma were different. These 2 guys talked about killing Kainai every day. If this goes on, I'm afraid that sooner or later she will be killed by her little man. She still knows her little man's strength very well, and with his bad intentions, let alone killing Konohamaru and Sarutobi Asuma, it is not impossible to destroy Konoha. Not to mention that there is a person in the Akatsuki organization that even her little man is afraid of. As the Hokage of Konoha, with her own little man on one side and a Konoha ninja on the other, all she could do was to prevent the two sides from clashing and prevent her little man from doing anything that would harm Konoha. This was already her limit. Wind Country, Sand Village. Gaara, who had become the Wind Cage, was in the conference room, listening to reports from a group of Sand Village high-level officials. In recent years, the strength of our Sand Village has gradually stabilized, and exchanges with the ninja villages of the allied countries have also become more frequent, especially in the training of newcomers. The effect of using the acting program education course introduced from Konoha Village has been very significant. The emergence of many new Chunins in the Chunin exams a while ago is the best proof. Then there is Makiro, the Sand Village Jonin, who was once the teacher of Temari, Kankuro, and Gaara, said a lot. It was not until Ura, aspired a scorpion, mentioned Akatsuki that everyone's attention was drawn. The Chunin exams held some time ago were indeed effective, but there were bad rumors. What is it, Ura? Maki asked solemnly. Have you heard of the organization Akatsuki? Ura looked at Maki. Although Ura was under the control of Scorpion's ninjutsu, he did not know that he was a spy until the ninjutsu was lifted. He still thought that he was a high-ranking ninja of Sand Village. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224, The Capture of the Tailed Beasts begins. Kayanai acts as the boss. Ura explained to everyone in a serious tone. The so-called Akatsuki is a mysterious organization composed of more than a dozen ninjas. All members are wanted, vicious S-level criminals. The ones we already know about are Uchiha Itachi, who was born in Konoha and buried his own clan overnight. Hoshigaki Kisame, who was once one of the 7 Mist Ninjas and was called the Mist Ninja Monster. Orochimaru, who planned to destroy Konoha and assassinated the previous Kazekage. It is said that he was also a member of this organization. These are not the most troublesome. Fujiwara Chiya, who made a big fuss in Konoha 3 years ago, designed to frame Konoha's top leaders, and easily defeated Hatake Kakashi, Might Guy and other senior ninjas in Konoha's Forest of Death, is also a member of this organization. It is rumored that, although it was Orochimaru who assassinated the previous Kazekage, it was Fujiwara Chiya who actually did it. Fujiwara Chiya, Gaara, who had been silent with his arms folded throughout, finally spoke. Hearing this name, he recalled the first and only time he met him in the Death Forest 3 years ago, and his pupils shrank immediately. That was a man that even the tailed beast in his body was afraid of. Moreover, he was related to Naruto, the first person he regarded as a friend. Yes, Master Kazekage. Ura looked at Gaara with some surprise and said respectfully, I believe you have met him before. The source of information was provided by Master Jiraiya, who is known as one of the 3 legendary ninjas. Although I was a little presumptuous, I notified you to strengthen the defense of the village before the meeting. Strong Hindu ninjas were deployed outside the village, and even powerful ninjas would find it difficult to force their way in. I heard that the members of the Akatsuki organization all decorated their black clothes with red clouds. For this reason, I have ordered that once we encounter people dressed in such clothes, we will defeat them with all our strength. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar. All the senior officials praised Ura's ability. But what no one knew was that this village senior official who had just worked hard for Tsunagakure would become a traitor to Tsunagakure. In the vast desert, the wind and sand were raging, and the sound of wind chimes could be heard from time to time. Deidara and Scorpion, who was hiding in the amber puppet, wore red cloud black robes and wind chime hats on their heads. They walked in the wind and sand and headed towards the sand village. Behind them, the yellow sand was trampled with deep footprints and a sand ditch plowed by the leech puppet, but it was not long before it was buried by the wind and sand. Brother Scorpion, the sand village is not far ahead. What's wrong with Brother Kanai? Didn't he say he would come to watch my art? Why hasn't he come yet? HMM. If a heavyweight audience with a keen eye, is missing, then this performance will not be perfect. I brought all my trump cards for this. HMM. Deidara complained to Scorpion of the red sand with a bag full of clay bombs in his hand. Who knows? He's probably accompanying his wife and children again. He is such a person. He can slaughter the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan for his wife, and always puts his family first. In our organization full of killing, he is also an outlier. Scorpion spoke in the hoarse voice of Fei Liuhu, and there was a hint of envy in his words. He envied not Kanai, but his daughter Kyanha, who had the love and companionship of her parents since childhood. It's so boring. Although Brother Scorpion and I have different directions in studying art, what's so good about women? It's not as important as studying art. Don't you think so, Brother Scorpion? HMM. Deidara patted the clay package and pouted. Scorpion did not answer directly, but looked at the package in Deidara's hand, skipping the previous topic. By the way, is the bag in your hand enough? The opponent is not only a Jinchuriki, but also a Akatsuki of the Sand Village, one of the 5 major countries. What's the big deal? He's just the kid who was knocked out by Brother Chiya in Konoha with a casual move. It's no big deal. Yeah. Deidara said nonchalantly. Scorpion was speechless for a while, glanced at Deidara, and said indifferently, "You will die if you underestimate the enemy. Besides, you don't want to see yourself embarrassed in front of Kanai." Hearing this, Deidara's expression immediately became serious, and he said solemnly, "I'm well prepared this time. Brother Scorpion killed the 3rd Kazakage, and Brother Kanai killed the 4th Kazakage. As your brother, I will not be too embarrassed. I will definitely kill the 5th Kazakage, and Jesus can't stop me." Scorpion was stunned. I seem to have heard this sentence somewhere. Haha. I just think that Brother Kanai's words are very artistic. Deidara laughed awkwardly. I don't know if it was because he felt guilty for plagiarizing other people's words as an artist, or because he felt guilty for being exposed by Scorpion. Next, the two did not talk again until noon, when the 3 of them rushed to the entrance of Sand Village, Yixenshin. Hey, Deidara, Scorpion, you two are so slow. I've already had lunch. On the left side of the entrance to the narrow sky, a huge parasol was erected, and under the parasol, there was a rocking chair. Kanai, wearing sunglasses, lay comfortably on the rocking chair. Scorpion Spyura, with his clothes stained with blood, was waiting on the side. Seeing Scorpion appear, he hurried to greet him, knelt on one knee, and saluted respectfully. Brother Scorpion. Seeing Kanai ordering his subordinates around like this, Scorpion's forehead was covered with black lines, and he asked Yura, "Thank you for your hard work, Yura. It seems you have remembered it." "Yes, Lord Scorpion." Yura was in awe. "Of course, if you forget, it's not called ninjutsu," Deidara said, turning his eyes to Kanai and asking Yura, "When did Brother Kanai come? How come he arrived earlier than us? When did this guy come?" Scorpion turned his eyes to Kanai. "Lord Kanai has been here half an hour ago. According to the instructions from Lord Scorpion that he conveyed, I invited him to have dinner in the village, and then arranged parasols and armchairs, to wait for your arrival. I have already dealt with all the guards in advance," Yura said respectfully. "Hey, when did I give the order to my subordinates to serve you?" Upon hearing this, Scorpion's true body hidden in the scarlet flow amber twitched his mouth fiercely, and looked at Kanai, who was still lying on the recliner, with dissatisfaction. Kanai stood up. "Don't mind it. Since I came from afar to be a spectator, there should be a VIP seat, right? Yura, help me move the rocking chair and parasol to the inside of the narrow sky. I want to watch the battle between Deidara and your Kazakage with your Lord Scorpion there." "Yes, Lord Kanai." Yura responded respectfully, and actually ran to move it. PS. The 3rd update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 225 Naruto. Who knows about Sasuke's defection? And Karen. Did you cast an illusion on him? I don't remember Yura listening to orders from anyone other than me. After he recovered his memory, seeing Yura actually run to move the rocking chair, the eyes of the Scorpion Filiuhu puppet showed bloodshot, and said to Kanai, "Don't care about such a small matter." Kanai smiled nonchalantly and turned his eyes to Deidara. Deidara, it's up to you next. Brother Kanai, just wait and see. Okay. Deidara was full of confidence. At this time, Ira walked over quickly. Scorpion-sama, Kanai-sama, Deidara-sama, everything is ready. Please follow me. Soon. The three of them followed Ira through the narrow gap and came to the interior of the sand village. From here, you can overlook the whole picture of the sand village. Looking at the densely packed khaki buildings in the sand village, Deidara couldn't help but sigh. From the perspective of the architectural structure alone, this is really an artistic village. But because of this, it is even more worthy of being destroyed. Brother Kanai, Brother Sasori, you just watch from here. Deidara said, reaching into the clay bag on his waist, biting off a piece of clay with his palm, injecting chakra and kneading it into a flying bird. Deidara made seals with his hands, and the clay bad suddenly grew larger. Deidara jumped on the bird's back, and the giant bad spread its wings, flapped its wings, flew into the sky, and after a moment, it turned into a black dot, and disappeared in the sky. Next, we just need to watch from here. Looking at the place where Deidara disappeared, Kanai lay down directly on the rocking chair. Sasori glanced at Kanai, sighed helplessly, and said to Yura, there is nothing for you to do here, just leave first. Yes, Lord Sasori. Yura responded respectfully, and disappeared at the entrance of Sand Village. Sasori turned his gaze to the Sand Village, and looked in the direction of Deidara with Chiya. Next, it was Deidara's turn. At the same time, Hokage's office. Naruto returned to Konoha and learned that Sasuke was abducted and affected by Orochimaru not long after he and Jiraiya went out to practice. He rushed into the Hokage's office as soon as possible. At Tsunade-chan, Sasuke, was Sasuke really taken away by Orochimaru's people? With him came Sakura, who had grown into a medical ninja, Shikamaru and Temari, who were discussing the joint Chunin exam between Sand Village and Konoha in the second half of the year, and Jiraiya, who helped Naruto complete his training. It seems that you already know. Looking at Sakura, Shikamaru and Temari who came with them, these people who were involved when Sasuke defected, Tsunade instantly understood everything, sighed helplessly, and told about Sasuke's defection. When Naruto heard that Tsunade sent people to pursue and asked for help from the three siblings of Sand Village, Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro, and killed all the Otonin, but Sasuke still escaped by himself, he was silent. He hated why he was not there at the beginning. If he was there, he would definitely be able to catch Sasuke. Shikamaru was silent. His heart was full of self-blame because his command error caused Neji and Choji to be seriously injured and almost died. Jiraiya was silent, leaning against the wall with his arms folded, looking at Naruto, thinking of his bond with Orochimaru in his mind, and thinking to himself, this guy must be feeling very bad now. Temari also didn't say anything, but just looked at Naruto with complicated eyes. No one knew what she was thinking about this guy who changed Gaara's life trajectory. As for Sakura, after nearly 3 years, she shed tears of pain and loss again. But she finally grew up and soon became firm. She wiped her tears and looked at Naruto. Naruto's shoulders trembled slightly, half lowered his head, and his eyes were covered by shadows. Just as Sakura was about to speak to comfort Naruto, Naruto suddenly raised his right hand, clenched his 5 fingers into a fist, and shouted, I have decided that sooner or later, I will bring Sasuke back to the village. Do what you say, this is my ninja way. At this point, Naruto stretched out his right hand, opened his thumb, and made a victory gesture to everyone. When everyone in the field heard this, they seemed to be inspired, and the originally depressed atmosphere almost instantly rose. Including Tsunade, everyone's face showed a faint smile. Only Chinatsu, who was standing behind Tsunade, was speechless, thinking, is this what Kanai said about mouth to mouth? It's really boring. Yoshi, then it's time to test your training results. And Sakura too. This test will determine your future situation. Just like in the original work, Tsunade proposed the decision to test Naruto's training results. Test? Naruto and Sakura looked at each other with puzzled expressions on their faces. Tsunade held her cheek with her jade hand and looked at the two with interest. It means to be a rival of a certain man. For this purpose, I haven't given him any tasks for several days. I have been asking him to prepare. Your opponent is. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Tsunade said, "Come in." The door of the room opened with a creak, and Shizune and Karen walked in. "Tsunade-sama, I brought Karen here according to your order. Thank you for your hard work." Tsunade nodded. "Shizune's sister, and this is." Naruto recognized Shizune at a glance, but when he saw Karen, he was immediately confused and had a lot of question marks on his head. Although Naruto had seen Karen before, when he and Jiraiya invited Tsunade to return to the village to serve as Hokage, Naruto was practicing the Rasengan at that time, and the two did not say anything. In addition, Karen has grown up, and Naruto's IQ is a mystery, so he did not recognize Karen. As Sakura introduced them, she looked at Naruto, as if he was looking at a fool. "This is senior sister Karen, Uzumaki Karen. She was once forced to represent the Kusagakure ninja and participate in the Chunin exam with us because her mother was kidnapped. Later, she was rescued by Lady Tsunade, accepted as a disciple, brought back to the village, and became a ninja of Konoha. Now, she has become a Jonin of Konoha just like Niji. Come to think of it, you have the same last name. And didn't you meet when you and Lord Jiraiya went to invite Lady Tsunade to become Hokage? Please don't tell me you don't remember her." Karen smiled and greeted Naruto. "Hello, Naruto." Naruto was shocked and recalled Karen's cute appearance in the past, and then looked at her now. The iconic red hair was a little split, and the eye color was the same red as her hair. Wearing glasses, giving people an image of an intellectual. The frame is brown and narrow. Wearing a purple top that reveals her navel, black hot pants, black stockings and black ninja shoes. Compared with the pretty look 3 years ago, I always feel that I'm not as pretty as I was 3 years ago. PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.